Call the meeting to order, City of Laredo, regular council meeting, October 20, 2025, 5:37 p.m. All stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Secretary, roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor. Honorable Mayor Dr. Victor D. Trevino.
Present.
Honorable Council Member District 1, Gilbert Gonzalez. Honorable Council Member District 2, Ricardo Rangel Jr. Present. Honorable Council Member District 3, Melissa Cigarroa.
Present.
Honorable Council Member District 4, Ricardo Rick Garza.
I'm here.
Honorable Council Member District 5, Ruben Gutierrez Jr.
Present.
Honorable Council Member District 6, Dr. Tyler King.
Here.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem and Council Member District 7, Vanessa Perez. Honorable Council Member District 8, Alisa Cigarroa.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, motion to approval of the minutes of October 6, 2025.
Motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll proceed with citizens' comments. Citizens can participate through in-person comments. Citizens wishing to provide in-person comments are required to fill out a witness card and submit it to the city secretary no later than 5:45 p.m. and identify themselves at the microphone. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Speaker may not pass their minutes to any other speaker. All comments should be relevant to city business and delivered in a professional manner. No derogatory remarks are permitted. And if there's a large group with the same comments, we will ask for representatives, up to 3, to say the same message. We'll proceed with, do we have a recognition you'd like to do?
We have citizens' comments, Mayor.
Okay, we'll start with citizens' comments. David Almaraz.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Sir, you can stand in the middle,
Right over here.
right there.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Honorable City Council. Thank you for giving me this time. I was asked to give a few comments on two matters. One, and I still can't believe that after all these years, we're still talking about the wall, the border wall. My comments on this are against the wall, obviously. Why? Walls are lethal. Any wall that's been put up, they say, has actually contributed to about a little over 8,000 deaths of people trying to cross. They can't because of the wall. Walls obviously kill wildlife. Wildlife that has existed for thousands and thousands of years that go across the river, they're stopped. It causes dangerous flooding. Obviously, and we've seen a lot of lawsuits, private landowners lose their property. It costs billions and billions to build it. It costs even more billions to maintain. No wall that's built is going to stand for more than a few years. The next flood was going to tear it down. It erodes the rule of law. Why? Because certain administrations that have pushed through this wall all of a sudden waive a lot of environmental protections. it interferes with tribal sovereignty. Many, many Native American lands are on that river, and they say, nope, you got to move, as they've been told to move for the last 200 or 300 years. It is not supported by the majority of voters. Most voters say, why do we need this wall? I thought nobody wanted to come over here anymore, but still. And it betrays our values. I understand that if people want to come here, they should come legally. But for those that are fleeing oppression, wars, poverty, all kinds of problems, that's why they're trying to come here, at least to seek asylum, and that wall is going to stop them, if not end their lives. The other, and I'll be quick, I know I have very few seconds left, I started hearing in Houston that they are taking the street markings out, the rainbows, the so-called rainbows. And the reason was given by our governor to promote political ideologies is wrong. And they say, we don't want any signs that says social, political, or ideological messages, symbols, flags, and other markings. They started with rainbow crosswalks. But now they're saying, let's get rid of any markings on any road, such as the one we have here right in front of us, that said, defund the wall. Again, it's like, the governor gets up and says, I don't like that, let's make it illegal. I would hope that you all did vote for the one marking that we have there at that street. If y'all are going to try to get rid of it, then it should be taken to a vote as well. And lastly, the first one that was attacked were the rainbows. Rainbows were a promise of hope, a sign of God's faithfulness, a sign of mercy, a symbolism. You've seen pictures with the throne of God with a rainbow around it. That's what they want to get rid of. Thank you.
Thank you. Next comment is Margarita Reyes.
Good afternoon,
Afternoon.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, Margarita Raiza. Throughout our community's 270-year history, this city has come under many assaults from invading forces from the north, from the south, from natural disasters, devastating floods, deadly plagues. And always our people, our leaders, have never hesitated to stand up, to stand together, and fight a good fight. We're asking you to do that now again today. This is regarding the border wall, and we feel that the mural on the street outside on Victoria is just the beginning of a process. We're asking you to stand firm against that as well. The mural was built with only private funds, no city taxes, no city funding, and at the express permission of City Council. So please don't allow misinformation to be distributed regarding that mural. When people say there's nothing that can be done, we can't fight our state government and our national government, that is a cop-out, and we're asking you not to listen to those voices. We were told that too the first time we fought against the border wall, and we succeeded. People said it was a done deal, and it was clearly not. So again, we're asking you to stand together, to stand up, because while we're being told that there is no funding for medical facilities, for medical services, for indigent care and child services, child nutrition, veterans benefits, and yet there's billions and billions of dollars available to build a wall that is clearly has been proven to be ineffective now and unnecessary. So again, I'm asking you and reminding you that the community is watching. History is calling. I know a lot of you trace your history to our founding. A lot of us that may have not been here, our ancestors at the founding, but have been here for many, many years, are very proud of our legacy, of our history, of our heritage. And so I'm asking you, please, please, to think very hard about your decisions regarding these very important matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Elsa Hall?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Elsa Hall, and I'm here as a property owner who stands to lose her home and everything she's worked for all of her adult life, as I'm in the path of destruction from this border wall. And we all know this isn't about public safety or border security. This isn't even just about a street mural, which the city permitted and we paid for and did all the work ourselves. This isn't even just about free speech and First Amendment rights. It goes way beyond that. Once you bow to tyrants, you can't take it back. It sets a dangerous precedent. You bow to this and remove the mural. What else are you going to bow to? Authoritarianism, fascism, martial law, the wall? Are you going to abandon your people when the wall comes for our homes, our parks, our river? So much destruction for an illegal wall. Why else have they waived dozens of laws just to build it? And you should be standing up for Laredo, one of the safest cities in the United States. You should be proud of it, your city and its people. I'm asking you to take a stand against tyranny, against censorship, stand up for democracy, our Constitution, our city. Do not bow to tyrants. Do not allow them to bully you, to control you. Do not allow this useless wall to destroy our city, our river, our community, our homes. It starts with one step. Do the right thing and take that step with us and stand up for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Almalena Hinojosa?
Good evening. My name is Alma Lena. I was born and raised here in Laredo, and I'm here to challenge our mayor's comments on painting over our Victoria Street mural. Public art is all over the city, and it's a huge part of what makes Laredo beautiful. Dictating what that art should include not only discourages diversity and creativity, but takes away the artist's autonomy over their own work. All of this over a mural, begging our government to listen to us, to care about us, your citizens who run this economy and are the very backbone of Laredo. Painting this mural, we followed every step and process laid out by you, by this city, by this council. So either Laredo City Council is disorganized, inconsistent, and unreliable, even when making important decisions like this one, or we're watching in real time as our elected and trusted officials are beginning to appear more and more interested in appeasing authority than upholding their public duty. I was there, a 17-year-old high school junior, helping paint what we believe into something the world could finally see. Despite the heightened isolation caused by COVID, our concern for our future and willingness to fight united us anyway. Over a weekend, we worked 10-plus-hour days in the dead heat of Laredo summer, on what felt like scorching asphalt, not doing it for a paycheck, but doing it out of love for a place that raised us. That's what passion is. Not whatever you call this. And look at us, still standing together, 5 years later, still fighting. You can let them build the wall, you can paint over our masterpiece of a mural, but you can never take away our passion or our love for our community. We will not be silenced. We're not going anywhere. You will hear us, and we will meet again. This mural is no threat to public safety, as you said, Mayor, but revoking the right to self-expression, free speech, and autonomy from your very own citizens definitely is. By painting over our mural, you're setting a dangerous precedent that does not represent what Laredo truly is. There's no way around it. You must pick a side, and you better make sure it's the right one, because we will never forget. History has its eyes on you, so tread lightly. Thank you.
Arturo Bernal.
No, Mayor,
Evening.
Your name for the
everybody,
record, sir.
council.
Your name for the
My
record.
name is Arturo Bernal, and I live in San Francisco Javier since 1958. And my concern is the wall. We used to go fishing, we used to go running down the mountain and everything. Now we can't. We've left that wall, or our animals, they're not gonna be able to get water. We need that space. We don't need a wall. You want a wall? Do parks for the communities. We all need help with that. If when we build the parks, have the police guide those parks and protect those parks. And we need a lot of to help us to keep our community safe. We don't need a wall. And I know you all, your brothers and sisters, you know, our neighbors, Mexico, they're not gonna see us. We're not gonna be able to see them or say hi to them across the river. We don't need that. Fix our streets, fix our communities. You know, just have patience. That's all I'm saying. Have patience. And as long as we can fix our water lines, that's a priority here in Laredo, our water lines. For my neighbor, San Francisco Javier, I haven't seen no improvement on the water line. I know years back, they made a survey, but they didn't even work on it. They didn't replace the water lines. Supposedly they're more than 50 years, because I've been here 1958. You know, so I hope you all come together as brothers and sisters and help us with all the communities. I'm just not talking about mine, but yes, my problem is San Francisco Javier. Thank you.
Thank you. Dylan Breyer.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mayor Dr. Trevino and the City Council. My name is Dylan Bryan. I am a TAMU student, and I stand before you today not just as a young person, but as a voice for the voiceless, the compassionate, for justice, and for a future that tears down walls, not builds them. Let me be clear, I am here to say no to the border wall, not because I don't care about safety, but because I care deeply about people, about families, about dignity, about building bridges, not barriers. Let me tell you a quick story. There was an immigrant man that had came to this country chasing a dream, just like so many others still do to this day. And he didn't just survive, he thrived. They called him the Flying Mustang. He was a legend on the basketball court, breaking records and inspiring everyone around him. He went on to become a respected LISD special education coach, a mentor, an exemplary leader in the Laredo community. His impact was so powerful that he was inducted to the Latin Hall of Fame. He even worked his way, earning a bachelor's and master's degree so he could achieve his doctorates until he unfortunately passed away from leukemia. That man was my grandfather. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't even be standing here in this very spot speaking to any of y'all. Think about that. An immigrant, someone who might have been stopped at a wall and not end up becoming a symbol of excellence, hope, and leadership. When I think about the wall, I think about how many people like my grandfather would be kept out, how many people would never get the chance to soar. That wall doesn't just block people, it blocks potential, hope, and opportunity. If you look back at our American history, we are a nation built by immigrants, people who crossed oceans and borders in search of a better life. So how can we now justify building walls to keep them out? To even put it into a religious perspective, in the Bible, specifically John 13:34, it is said to love others as Jesus has loved you. And even if you aren't religious, there is an unofficial rule, the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. I've seen the photos, I've seen the stories. Now put yourself in their shoes for just a moment. Just a moment. Families have been separated, children have been put in detentions, lives broken at an imaginary line in the sand. That's not safety, that's cruelty. We should be investing in smarter solutions in communities, in diplomacy, in fair immigration systems, not concrete and steel. A wall doesn't solve the root causes of migration. It doesn't stop desperation, and it doesn't reflect the values I was raised to believe in: equality, kindness, and justice. I remember still to this day sitting in my elementary classes being taught that this nation was created to have equal opportunity for all. And now, after growing up and seeing what has been occurring, it's ironic that our country's name, United States, is more divided. We are the next generation, and we are watching, and we are speaking. We don't want a future where walls divide us. We want a future where all people, no matter where they're born, are treated with respect and humility. To our leaders, I say this: don't just hear us, but listen. We are not the voices of tomorrow. We are the voices of today. And today we say loud and clear, no to our border wall. Let's build a future with open hearts, not closed gates, a future where more stories like my grandfather's could be written. Thank y'all, and God bless y'all.
Karen Gaitan.
Hello, everyone. I can walk a little better. I'll keep my remarks short. I'm here to, 5 years ago, I was a part of the initial group who came up and pleaded, like, we really need your support in painting this mural. And since then, I've learned a little bit more about the history of Laredo. And one of the things that has really inspired me was that before this was Mexico, before this was the United States, before the Spanish even came here, a lot of the original people who were part of these lands were stewards, were defenders. This is a hard place to live in. The climate, the land. But in spite of that, people have lived here and decided to set foot here, and we have defended what we've had because it's taken us a lot of work to build it. That is the legacy all of us standing here carry. And we are not a city known to back down, to be under the threat of a governor who says they're going to cut our funding because we have a mural that was brought here and painted by the labor of hundreds of volunteers, by passion, sweat. No one paid for it. No one paid us to make it. It was only to show the voice and pride of Laredo. And I am here to support you in that whenever you receive threats from the federal or state government, you are not alone. You are not coming from a legacy of people who bow down. You come from a legacy and line of defenders. So all of us here today are asking you again to defend who we are, defend our legacy and our pride. And that mural is a reflection of that. Images matter. Collective action matters. And it is your duty as elected officials to protect that and defend us in these lands of power, the halls of power. You are not alone. We are stronger together. And please remember and voice that each and every day. Thank you.
Roque Haynes.
Good afternoon, Mayor Trevino, City Council, and City staff. My name is Roque Haynes. I'm the project manager for the Zacate Creek Green District Coalition, which employs over 30 residents of the Azteca neighborhood to engage in an ecological restoration effort at Las Palmas Nature Trail. The community effort will remove invasive plant and tree species and reforest the area with native plants and trees. I'd like to thank the City of Laredo, in particular City Management and Councilmember Alisa Cigarroa, in whose district this great community effort is taking place, for partnering with our organization and for supporting this restoration effort to improve and make accessible the only green space available to the Azteca neighborhood. I'd also like to thank the Office of Congressman Henry Cuellar for his continued support on this project. And surprisingly, also crucial to this is to the success of this endeavor is a good working relationship with Homeland Security and the Department of Defense, who fully support this project. Since 2023, the residents of El Azteca neighborhood have worked to secure major funding for their community to improve Las Palmas Nature Trail. The funding through Methodist Healthcare Ministries is allowing the community to reclaim ownership of a neglected recreational area, provide residents with a sanctuary where they can improve their physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Since the 1970s, with the construction of Bridge Number 2 and the expansion of the I-35, the neighborhood has continued to shrink and suffer. For this reason, we oppose the building of a border wall off Water Street that would restrict access to Las Palmas for Azteca residents and negate all the hard and tedious work that residents have dedicated to this restoration effort. One federal project, which is, I mentioned Bridge 2 and the I-35 expansion, took away the neighborhood's economic engine and direct connection with downtown, and now this major land taking and wall construction will take away their only green space and access to nature. El Azteca is slowly being chopped up and choked off. We are thankful to the city for their continued support on this project and ask that you continue to stand with us by forcefully and loudly opposing this naked land grab. Let's not let the valiant work and effort from this community be in vain. The border wall will not only stigmatize the neighborhood, but the entire city and create a false and negative perception that does not match Laredo's ranking as one of the safest cities in the United States, especially when illegal border crossings and apprehensions are at an all-time low. Mayor Trevino, City Council, and City Management, the people of El Azteca need to know that you stand with them in this fight to keep our land from being taken away forever. Access to Laredo's most prized jewel, the Rio Grande, will be gone forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Edgar Villaseñor.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council.
Evening.
I just want to make it clear that...
Sir, your name for the record.
My name's Edgar Villaseñor.
Thank you.
I just want to make it clear that the art mural was not city funded, and as some of the people that have spoken mentioned, it was all volunteer work. And I'll get straight to the point. I understand that there's been a recent directive from Governor Greg Abbott and TxDOT to remove decorative or political art, or we're at risk of losing federal funding. And I recognize how hard this must be. But I also want to say that this feels like psychological chess games to test our city on how our community is going to respond. So although we might surrender now just as quickly as the other cities have, we've read the news, right? Other cities have already moved to do this. I would just like for you guys to think about one question. What will happen if they say, we're going to build a wall through your park, Father McNabb, Los Tres Laredos, Slaughter Park, Santa Rita, or you'll lose federal funding? How will you respond then? Will we continue to just cave in? Or, I guess I'm also just asking in general, is that the way, what's happening? And lastly, I want to talk to you guys. I had the opportunity to go to Eagle Pass, and it was actually really hard to get into the river in Eagle Pass. We were there waiting, several people, to go kayaking. We have to wait for CBP, Border Patrol, City of Eagle Pass, all these people, right? Because they have it like completely fenced off. So a wall could be different things. You know, they could probably just do what they're doing in Eagle Pass to Laredo, which is ugly if you guys go. Anyways, after waiting hours just to get access to go to the river, once I went there, on our side, it was all barbed wired up with containers that said China. And then as I looked to see that Juarez, it was like, oh, no, for real, it looked like a walker. I was like, damn. It's like they could have put USA, you know, something. But anyways, as I looked to the right side, I saw Ciudad Juarez has it all nice, you know, like community space for their people. So that's just one of the things that I wanted to see. Like, if this is the strategy for us to just cave in as a city, I want you to just consider that. Because I believe this isn't just about removing art. It's a strategy about removing our voice, our expression, and our identity as a community. So I urge City Council to stand with the community and think about what else they want us to remove. Thank you.
Jesse Herrera.
Some call me a poet, some call me the dude, but I've always been Jesse G. Herrera. Anything you might have heard about me is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the guilty. I would like to dedicate this reading to my friend Geneva Yeager, who's in the sunrise, sunset, Milky Way. A quote by Don McLean. I met a girl who sang the blues, and I asked her for some happy news, but she just smiled and turned away. And we will have our Tenement Square moment when it is us facing down the barrel of the tank. We are the books, the pages, the words, each of us letters in Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. But who are the firemen? Who are the book burners? We are living history as we are making history. Will we be an asterisk or a footnote or first edition or first amendment? As a raza that came before us and stood facing down the barrel that forged us into a sword of unity, we cannot rest on the laurels of yesterday. We need heroes, not yes men. We need leaders, not followers. Now it is our turn to face down the barrel of authoritarian rule and the big black Sharpie. Every day is more and more poetically Orwellian. Will we stand como un nopal lleno de espinas, ready to fight, or wither in the sun as rotten, forgotten fruit? George Orwell said, in times of deceit, telling the truth is revolutionary. The revolution is here, and so are the tanks. Sí se puede. Gracias.
Martín Castro.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Martin Castro. I serve as the Watershed Science Director with the Rio Grande International Study Center. I'm here to inform you of a deeply concerning development that could profoundly impact our community and riverfront. In recent weeks, the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, they announced over $4.5 billion in new contracts for border wall construction. So as part of this initiative, DHS quietly published just a week ago a new detailed map of proposed infrastructure stretching from California all the way to the Gulf, including several planned wall segments and floating waterborne barriers like the buoys that we have seen upstream in Eagle Pass right here in Laredo. To better understand the local impacts, I'm going to walk you through. We've mapped out the proposed infrastructure using the same data from DHS, which has not been modified in any such way. I'm going to walk you through these maps, starting from upstream in Laredo very quickly, and then working my way downstream, okay? This is a map from the El Pico Water Treatment Facility. As you can see, there is the proposed buoy line on the far left, marked in orange, which runs along the banks through the river. And then you can see the wall segment cutting right through the water treatment plant facility. It would essentially almost sever it in half. El Pico, as you know, is one of our city's critical drinking water facilities. Moving downstream to the Max Mandel Golf Course, you'll see the same features, the buoy line marked in orange, and then the proposed wall alignment. What you're actually seeing on the alignment in this close-up, the hatched fill is actually the footprint, because in addition to the physical structure, you have a 60-foot security enforcement zone on both sides. So that's more representative. I've buffered it in such a way that you can see the actual footprint. This area, of course, is a major local public attraction and has brought a lot of investment to Laredo. It's also a proximity. It's also an area known for its proximity to migratory bird routes and wildlife, which of course would all be disrupted. Very quickly, moving on to the World Trade Bridge, one of our most important ports of entry and trade and commerce routes for both cities. Same features represented, the buoys marked in orange on the left and the alignment proposed running right through World Trade Bridge, through vegetated riverbanks, and of course, potentially across a flood-prone area. This one is Father McNaboe Park. You'll see it you'll notice it's a beloved public green space in North Laredo. Pretty much sits directly in the path of a planned border wall segment. So it's going to level late native vegetation, cut off river access completely, and pretty much drastically alter the character of this family park. Las Palmas Nature Trail. I'm almost finished. Downstream in Las Palmas, this map clearly shows DHS's plans to build a wall directly through a $2 million USDA-funded riparian restoration project. In addition, there's been over $10 million in public and private investment already planned or underway in this area. So you can see it would essentially completely cut off river access to the oldest neighborhood in Laredo, which is El Azteca, which is located on the top. And this is the final map, and I'll be finished. This is Santa Rita Park in South Laredo. Very similar to Father McNaboe, except the alignment here is basically severing almost all of the access to the park, to the River Hill subdivision. So in summary, our goal with these maps that we've created is simple: to inform, prepare, and protect. City leaders and the public deserve to know which lands may be affected, how much, and by whom. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Martin Castro. That's him. All right. Trisha Cortez.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council and City Management. Kind of feels like the great catcher Yogi Berra. It's like deja vu all over again. And we want to inform you about these disturbing plans that have already been made official and what they're proposing. And I know it's very hard to see what's really happening beyond the noise of the Democrat versus Republican, Fox versus MSN issue. But at the heart of this is not a Democrat versus Republican, a left versus right issue. When you peel away all that noise, at the very heart, this is about protecting our most important natural asset, and that's the Rio Grande. And this is about protecting hundreds of millions of dollars in public and private investments along the riverfront. As my colleague Martin said, last week on October 15th, the U.S. government issued a sweeping waiver of federal procurement laws for the entire southern border. This is unprecedented. It would be like the city of Laredo saying, we're going to suspend all procurement laws and policies and practices for a particular kind of construction project, and we know who those contractors and bidders are going to be, with nothing, with no guardrails. That's what this is. And the DH website has showed this proposed alignment for all of Laredo, all of Webb, and most of Zapata. The 30-foot steel wall with the security enforcement zone on both sides and the large river buoys. This is a photo of what the buoys look like in Eagle Pass. They're separated by a razor-sharp disc, and they have created a lot of injuries there. And just to put this into context, again, to get away from all of the noise, to see what the facts are, this is from the CBP website. This is their official data through the end of September, their fiscal year. You will see that border apprehensions along the entire border have taken a nosedive. They're at all-time lows. That's the orange. And you'll see Laredo sector, which is Webb and Zapata, in blue. Laredo sector is at all-time historic low apprehensions, and that's without a wall and without river buoys. Just as a reminder, this is what the wall looks like. Just gonna kind of go through this. This is what the neighborhoods would turn into. This is what parks would turn into. And this is what we heard all the time last time. It was a lot of fear. A lot of fear-mongering. They're going to come to you either politely or aggressively or probably both. And they're going to tell you these things. We can't antagonize. We got to play ball. The money's there. It's a done deal. And on the mural, this was approved and this was privately funded, and it did what it had to do with nearly 300,000 viral hits. And this is what it spawned. And lastly, what I want to show about the waste of taxpayer money. In 2020, this was the cost of just 1 mile of wall. And we asked then, and we ask again, what could you do with this kind of taxpayer money if it was available to you? How many fire stations, police stations, roadways, bridges, world-class regional parks could we have here in Laredo? A level 2 major trauma center, something we don't have. People have to get helicoptered out of here, little kids. And this is what we stand to lose. So we ask, you all have shown tremendous courage. This is the place where we held the line. And we're asking that you stand with us and you hold the line here in Laredo, because these things will pass. So we thank you for your time, Mayor, and we thank you for your time, City Council members and management, and we ask you to stand with us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Jesus Garcia, is he going to speak on the same?
Okay. Hello, my name is Jesus Garcia, and I'm a concerned Laredo resident. Whether at the federal or state level, we are living in unprecedented times where these entities are threatening funding and outright eliminating funding for major public services. This includes the ongoing threat from our governor regarding cutting funding for public roads and improvements if political ideologies are not removed from public roads, as the governor claims these ideologies threaten public safety. My question to you is, how many accidents has the Defund the Wall road mural caused? Our elected officials are quick to bow down to our governor without questioning or at least putting out a statement in support of our residents. In addition, how many DPS or DHS car chases have led to accidents and other unsafe road conditions? If the problem was truly about road safety, more would be done to address those car chases that DPS and DHS have been involved in. When will our local government stand up for its residents against the unlawful and authoritative actions being taken against us at the state and federal level? I implore our local elected officials to do more to stand up for our residents. In addition, our elected officials have approved a public easement near the Laredo-Columbia Solidarity Bridge for the unnecessary border wall construction. As we have seen for the last 9 months this year, our federal government is operating with authoritative powers not seen before. This includes the border wall construction. How many regulations will the government bypass in order to build the unnecessary wall, and at what expense? The Laredo residents' well-being? Instead of advocating for the well-being of Laredo residents, our local elected officials continue to do whatever the state and federal government asks them to do. I implore you, our city council, to stand up against this authoritarian regime and protect the well-being of all Laredoans.
Thank you.
That's my talk. Thank you.
Victor? No? All right. All right. Do we have any other public comments?
No, Mayor.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to motion to approve appointments to commissions, boards, and committees.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Mayor, I'd like to bring up number 9 on the supplemental agenda, a recognition.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mayor, this is recognizing the members of Phi Iota Alpha Fraternity TAMIU chapter for their remarkable contribution of over 2,100 community service hours during the 2024-2025 academic year. We extend special recognition to Rodolfo Rendon, Dylan Bryant, and Carlo Ochoa for their outstanding leadership and dedication, which exemplifies the spirit of civic engagement and partnership that strengthens our community. Co-sponsored by Councilmember Gilbert Gonzalez. Gentlemen, just want to tell you all specifically, you all are doing a wonderful job, and you make us think that there is a future for Laredo. There is a future for our people. Because when you're doing community service hours for our community, the way you all have shown us exemplifies exactly what kind of people you are and where your heart is. It's in the right place, I promise you, gentlemen and ladies. If there's, no, gentlemen, I'm sorry. My correction. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing the public what you do, what you're doing for us. 2,100 hours is extremely commendable for everything you do for our community. Thank you so very, very much. Any words you'd like to say to us?
Okay, on the spot, I guess. Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. I just want to say thank you to all of you for taking the time to recognize us. It was definitely not easy and definitely not something that just 1 or 2 individuals did. It was an effort made by almost 30 individuals within our chapter. We recently got a gold level award from the university for doing over 1,000 hours of community service, right? We've gotten that in several years prior, and we've only been in the university 2 years. So we've tried to do our best with the community. Again, I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here and for taking the time to recognize us. And if I may, also for listening to the fellow Laredoans that have been advocating for their community. That's definitely a huge issue for us. That's why we wanted to be here as well. And again, we're just very grateful. I know that as leaders, the position that you're in is not very easy, and we understand there's a lot of pressure, but organizations like ours and amazing people like these are here to support you, and we hope that you all will continue to make the right decisions for the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We're going to get a picture.
Hi.
Yes.
Bueno, after we're done, ¿te parece? You want to get up? Yeah, just trying to get it up. All right, let's look over here really quick.
Right here first. 1, 2.
Ponte ahí así.
Got it.
How do you use this? What
Just
are
press that. Just press it. No, the other way.
Like that?
Yeah.
No,
Move
it's
a little
not
bit. It's because y'all gotta scoot in more. Please. Love, love, love. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
1, 2. Let me go in right here. Ready? 1,
And then
2,
let me go
3.
in.
Okay. One more. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. One more.
There we go. 3, 2.
Okay. Oh. Get one with Ruben. Get one with Ruben.
Oh my goodness, wow. Nice.
Add that to our
Case or something. Very nice. I will keep it safe for all of us. Yes. Is it yours?
Yeah.
It's very well spoken.
Although this is an award, a real recognition, a real honor for me is knowing that we're making a difference.
We have a couple more. We have one more.
One more.
All right, Mr. Secretary, we have one more public comment that we missed.
2 more.
2 more?
Mayor, motion to bring up citizen comments again.
Okay. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Citizen comments that we missed, Rosa and Sauceda.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Rosa Sauceda y soy residente del barrio Azteca. Soy una de las trabajadoras del proyecto de restauración de Las Palmas Nature Trail. Estoy orgullosa de participar en este proyecto porque veo la dedicación y esfuerzo de mis compañeros residentes. Estoy aquí para pedir que la ciudad se oponga a apoyar la construcción del muro fronterizo. Ahora hay 2 proyectos federales que están en contradicción. Uno es para mejorar y restaurar el área de Las Palmas para que los residentes de la Azteca tengamos acceso a un espacio verde. El otro proyecto federal es la construcción del muro fronterizo que va a restringir el acceso para los residentes de la Azteca. ¿En qué cabeza cabe que el gobierno federal con una mano va a financiar un proyecto para mejorar el parque de Las Palmas para los residentes y con la otra mano va a financiar un proyecto para restringir acceso para los residentes? No entiendo. Esto es ilógico y demuestra que el gobierno federal no tiene los mejores intereses de Laredo. El único de estos 2 proyectos contradictorios que se debe de apoyar es el de restaurar y mejorar Las Palmas Nature Trail para que los residentes de la Azteca tengamos las mismas comodidades que otras partes de la ciudad necesitan. Necesitamos que ustedes manténganse firmes con su posición y no le den apoyo a la construcción del muro fronterizo. El congresista Henry Cuellar apoya el proyecto de restauración y ha reconocido a los residentes que trabajan ahí. Vamos a seguir el camino del progreso y que viva el Azteca. Gracias por su atención.
One more comment, Maria Salinas.
Good afternoon, Mayor Trevino, City Council, and City Management. My name is Mariana Salinas, and I am the president of the Zacate Creek Green District Coalition. I am here tonight to ask the city to fight for the residents of El Azteca neighborhood and oppose the construction of a border wall along Water Street, depriving the neighborhood of green space, while other areas of the city have well-maintained park and Azteca neighborhood is lacking this. The question I have for you all is, where are all the green spaces for the Azteca? We don't have. Why should other areas of the city have access to recreation areas, but not mine? A group of residents took it upon themselves to create a non-profit engaged in training paid living wages and restoration to do the job in a restoration this neglected city land. Azteca residents have shown the true courage and taken matters into their own hands to seek out private funding to do this work on city land. Roughly 30 trained residents are each putting 12 to 15 hours per week in labor. Some of they're in here sitting in the back. Intensive restoration work in just a few months' time, they have removed 300 tons of invasive biomass materials. We ask that you stand with our community and fight back against these unjust plans to take our land. Azteca residents deserve their own recreational green space area just as much as any other areas of the city. Our commitment and dedication demonstrates that we are worthy of this. We have taken charge of our own destiny and are asking the city to stand and oppose the construction of a border wall in our neighborhood. Thank you. Thank you, all of
All right,
Mayor, is that all the public comments?
I believe so. Any more public comments that we missed?
Ms. Benavides submitted one.
Okay, did she sign up?
Mayor,
Yes.
she submitted after around between 4:30. By that time, we came down here, and I was not able to print out her public comment card through email.
We'll let her comment anyway.
Okay. And Mayor, that was because we started the meeting at 4:30.
All right.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council.
Evening.
For the record, my name is Tanya Benavides, and I'm here as a concerned Laredoan, standing with everybody else that already expressed their high disappointment and concern to have, first of all, the city get rid of our defund the wall, fund our future mural, and as well pertaining to the federal government's official plans for border wall construction. The 9 waivers announced by the president last week in the middle of a government shutdown where our essential workers are working without pay, concerned about where their next paycheck, how they're going to pay their rent, their bills, how they're going to put food on the table. In the midst of all this, the federal government took it upon themselves to overreach in their authority in a completely unprecedented way to enact this waiver of federal procurement laws. This is the ultimate example of how big government is taking people's private lands, our parks, our green space, shared lands that belong to the people. These new waivers have nothing to do with safety. I think we all know this. It's about the money, it's about the politics. Hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money are going to be handed to private contractors who have made donations to this administration and who are going to have little, if any, oversight at all. So much for DOGE, right? Overriding the established federal procurement laws will bring a new form of lawlessness and layers of corruption that have not been seen before when it comes to our border. They are playing political games. We are pawns in their game. And this is people's lands. This is our home. You heard from all sorts of generations just now, the youngest of Laredoans and those that have guided us through our time here. And the only people that are going to benefit are those contractors, not you, not us, not the people of Laredo. So we must stand up for Laredo and do everything in your power to protect our land once again so that we can fight to stop the border wall. Now I want to move on to my other point, which is on Governor Abbott's directive by TxDOT to remove our political ideological markings on the road. Mr. Mayor, we need you and our city leaders to take a page off of other cities that have not given in to the bullies or extreme political demands. We need you to use everything in your power to protect our First Amendment rights. We are living in a time where our due process, we're seeing it be ripped apart from our hands. All our rights that our founding fathers gave us by the Constitution, they are coming under threat. And for what? For political games? We need you to sue the government if you have to, the state government, the federal government. We need to reclaim our lands and our spaces, and we don't want you or need you to send a message that you're caving on the mural, because once you do, they will not stop. 9 months ago, we were here when you all gave that easement on the Columbia Bridge, and we said, that's it, they're playing nice. We're doing this because they're playing nice. Well, now they're back, and they're back for more. So I ask you, do not give in to these authoritarian tactics by the state or the federal government, and ask yourself, what is lost by your verbal or tacit compliance? Will you stand up for democracy? Or will you simply be a tool to bring about authoritarianism? Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to motion to approve appointments to commission, boards, and committees on the supplemental as well.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Mayor, motion to open up public hearings, planning and zoning public hearing, introductory ordinances.
Before we go into that, I'd
Yes,
like to start with my communications, and then
Yes,
we'll proceed with
absolutely.
it.
Thank you.
And then proceed with 45 and 46.
Second on that motion.
Thank you. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Let them walk out. Okay.
Mayor, motion to bring back public hearings. Public comment.
Motion second, we missed one, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Monica Rodriguez, Franz Rodriguez, please proceed.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor. My name is Monica Franz Rodriguez with the Libre Initiative. I picked a great night to come because obviously citizens are very passionate, but I come before you on another issue. Just a quick history lesson. We know that the Roman Empire was the greatest empire that ever existed, the wealthiest. But as we know, it fell to a great demise, but predominantly it was because of overtaxation. The government, the local government, wanted to build and overtax its citizens, which led to the decline of liberty and the spirit of patriotism. So with that, I just want to mention to you that the Libre Initiative Laredo has just recently launched a new initiative here in the city of Laredo. No other city is doing it. Because I'm the grassroots director here in Laredo, very passionate about this city, we have launched a 10-day series called 10 Sunrises Over Laredo. So in addition to our National Day of Action that we have once a month, we're doing 10 additional days of block walking and door knocking where we're speaking to constituents. So when I come before you, I come with data and actual one-on-one information. We are asking taxpayers about their sentiment about property tax, which we know is highly influenced by local government. And so with that, I just want to let you know that most of our homeowners, people that we're finding out, are very unsatisfied and finding it to be very stressful. So if we actually think about it and take in a calculation of what this entails, when we're talking about taxation, that's about 30% of income tax. We have a sales tax of 8.5, up, a little under 10%. And now, depending on the household income, we're looking at about 14% of property tax. So I don't know how that looks in your pocketbook, but for the pocketbook of most Laredoans, that is a very, very stressful situation. Where people are unable to have maybe extra money for that family time. Carne asada, I'll get you the statistic for next time, but carne asadas are on the decline because people can't afford meat. Healthcare, savings, all of this, it's really causing a problem for our Laredoans. And so I'm here actually to extend, I come with an olive branch. I think this group was a little bit more aggressive. I come in peace. I'm a partner, a coalition partner. And so I just want to extend a couple of invitations. Introduce myself again. We met at the budget meeting. This is a passion and something I'm working on. The Libre Initiative statewide is working on this, but I am now a resident of Laredo. I actually have to buy a home, and to be honest with you, I'm a little scared. I might even have to consider getting a part-time job, and I'm not exaggerating because I have to be able to afford a home for myself. And so I just want to let you know that we have a conference coming, a speaker coming to Laredo in January. I would like to extend that invitation. He's a historian and a constitution. Also, anytime you would like any data, raw data, I have that for you. I would also like to invite you to join me at any time. I do have a school board member that has said yes to me. And if you want to collaborate and have town hall meetings, very much happy and willing to do that. We can actually invite a corresponding school district member, tax collector. If we get a good group, we might even do state comptroller. So anyway, just want to convey that to you as we're moving forward on agenda items that require money and spending. Please, Laredo is the crown jewel of Texas as the corridor I-35 NAFTA highway from here, the starting point all the way to Canada. We should have the resources for people to have a good life here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mayor, motion to go back to your item of communication.
All right, motion. Second, all in favor? Opposed, motion passed. Communications. Some updates and announcements to the public on the lighter side. Reminded the public about the Laredo Marathon that will be held on November the 16th. This is a Boston qualifying race that attracts runners from all over Mexico and the world, and we look forward to celebrating this great event. I would also like to recognize council members Ruben Gutierrez and Councilwoman Melissa Cigarroa and Chief Rodriguez for the recent Tejano Achievers Award. Let's give them a hand. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because of the meetings with the state officials on the emergency advisory on Friday. I would like to also recognize our own Chief Rodriguez for being placed on the National Board of Chiefs. As mayor, I believe that it is important to recognize our fellow Laredans and especially our youth because that inspires the future generations to achieve more. With regards to the emergency advisory that was issued Friday pursuant to the mayoral authority and the Texas Government Code, I would like to update the public that this was in relation to an illegal tap alleged dumping into our sewer system. Now, this is a serious violation, and a temporary restraining order has been issued against the business that performed the illegal tap and allegedly dumped oil into the city's sewer line. So the city, alongside with TCEQ, was called in and is still conducting an investigation on the city's, and the city is moving on to the remediation portion to reduce the impact to our wastewater system and the environment. I also want to repeat that this is a sewer line in the Mines Road area and not a water line, so it is not related to our drinking water. I have received additional questions as to inform relating any potential criminal investigations, and that matter, the city cannot comment on the potential or ongoing criminal investigations. But however, I would like to remind the public to be careful and only rely on official information. I don't know if Chief Rodriguez is here. Chief Rodriguez here? Looks like not.
He's out of town.
No.
No, sir.
Okay. Would you like to add anything that Chief Rodriguez has commented on?
Concerning that illegal taps, we're still monitoring, and it's still a criminal investigation. And by the way, Assistant Chief Rene Alvarado, sorry. And the good news is that after we capped it and the store hasn't opened or the business hasn't opened, the water is clearing up. So definitely that business was pouring oil into our systems, into the water system. So it's clearing up, and we're going to build a case either civilly or criminally. And that's the latest that we have.
All right. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
If there's any more information that will be coming along, we'll be glad to share it with the public. But in the meantime, the investigation is being conducted. Item number 45. Discussion with possible action on sending a resolution in line with the South Texas Alliance of Cities request Mexico to pay the water amount to South Texas that were recently agreed on October 24th, on the October 25th deadline, and any matters related thereto. Now, the reason why I brought this item up was in support to an already existing portion of the letter that the South Texas Alliance of Cities, that's mayors, issued to administration on requesting that Mexico pay the water obligation to Texas. And several agricultural businesses like in the valley, like the largest sugar cooperative in the Rio Grande Valley, Rio Grande Sugar Growers, Inc., closed its mill in Santa Rosa, Texas, in early 2024 due to a long-running water crisis. As a mayor, I signed a support letter with the understanding that we prioritize water for human consumption above anything else. The conversation is going to continue and has been central to a lot of border mayors, along with Congressman Cuellar and Senator Cruz, who also support this position. And some of the background we may already be aware of. Mexico must pay the United States 1.75 million acre-feet of water every 5 years. The current cycle ends on October 25th, but so far they had only sent 807,980 acre-feet to the Rio Grande, as according to the latest data to the U.S. section on the International Boundary and Water Commission. So Mexico owes 942,020 acre-feet of water. And to have some context to that, that's almost enough to fill 500,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So clearly, if we had this water, we would avoid the need to go into higher conversation or conservation levels we saw in the summer. So without getting too much into the history, there is water that's owed to us and can't be paid. So my initial assessment is that we should continue to work with Mexico, who is our ally, and look into working with them on extending the treaty deadlines with some monetary concessions, and also modernize the treaty. Remember, in 1944, there wasn't as many people or the demand was not there as it is now. I do not believe that we should incorporate the agreement into the upcoming USMCA trade agreement, because water is not the same as trade. And the use of punitive tariffs against Mexico also hurts our community, which relies so heavily on trade. So my motion would be to place this on priority policy items in the list for our Washington DC trip, and as number one port of entry in the United States and the Western Hemisphere, to recommend to President Trump administration to modernize the 1944 water treaty with realistic metrics instead of incorporating these metrics in the upcoming USMCA.
Second.
That's my motion. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
I completely agree with your sentiment and the idea that we can actually get blood from a turnip, I think is the appropriate phrase, is best describes what our water situation is. So we know that it isn't, if we look at the water debt from Mexico, and the largest tributary that feeds our reach of the Rio Grande and the Amistad Dam from Mexico is the Rio Conchos. And the Rio Conchos is also a highly stressed river. The other two rivers that primarily feed the Amistad are the Devil's River and the Pecos River. And it is the lack of water in those two systems that most impacts the quantity of water that we have in the Amistad. The Amistad Reservoir, and it's located in Del Rio, Texas, or by Del Rio, Texas, holds about 2 years' worth of water for Laredo. If this measure pushes Mexico to fulfill its water debt, their largest reservoir along the Rio Conchos is only at 38% capacity. And that they are serving a large agricultural sector that was born from a lot of the NAFTA initiatives and now the USMCA. So it's a very complicated issue. If we were to force Mexico to meet that debt in 2025, what could happen is they would be forced to basically grant us some water that is already in the Amistad Reservoir, where Mexico also has rights to hold water there in storage. And we would basically transfer like a balance sheet, take it from the Mexico column and put it in the United States column. But what that doesn't do is increase the water supply in the Amistad Reservoir. And Mayor, what I hope that can come from this renewed focus on water is some type of binational initiative where we could get technical experts together and talk about not only water conservation, but technology that better produces irrigation for the agricultural sector that is losing so much during these drought-related climate changes. So what that would entail is asking from the United States and Mexico a real focus on not looking for the diplomacy necessarily of trying to determine what water rights can exist in the future, but looking at the water that we have now and finding out how we're all going to live with less quantity of water at the same time that populations are increasing both on the Mexican side and on the United States side. And that's just going to require a different focus.
Yes.
But we do have the credibility here in Laredo to do that outreach. We are a collaborative city. We've done these efforts before for trade. And since trade is such an important feature here on the border, water is doubly important. And I think Laredo can lead us.
Well, thank you very much for your insight. I think these ideas can be taken to our Washington trip because we are at the epicenter, like we call it. We have firsthand experience of what the water does and what we need here. So we have a motion on the table?
And a second.
And a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Second.
For your item?
Yes.
I would just recommend maybe we can get our lobbyists to start
working and preparing some stuff for us so we can be sure that when we go up there, we have everything in order the way we want it to.
Exactly. And we probably need to just get in touch with them and tell them that we have this item to bring up over there.
Absolutely.
That's it. All right, number 46.
You already brought that one up?
Let's see.
Oh,
No, this is relevant. Number 46.
I'll second the motion to bring up number 46.
Oh, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 46, discussion with possible action on update previously approved feasibility study on convention center, multi-use centers, or any matters related thereto. The reason that was brought up is that I wanted to get an update on the progress of the convention center or multi-use center in the entertainment district near the unit trade and Sames area. Now, before we go into the discussion, I wanted to update the public where we are with this issue and why we need to avoid falling victim to endless feasibility studies. We have 5 feasibility studies on this multi-purpose venue since 2005. And because we do not have anything since that sale of our civic center in 2013, I think that the public has lost faith or patience on this topic. Understanding that in 2017, a previous city council placed a possibility of convention center downtown into referendum, which was voted down. This is why our last meeting on May the 14th, 2024, we spoke about the different locations. And we weren't in agreement, and we were in agreement. We were in agreement at that time. And we had consensus on the entertainment district near the unit trade and the same arena because of the concentration of hotels and the proximity to the airport, walkability, which is in line with a comprehensive plan. So this would be my motion.
Mayor, what's the motion, Mayor?
The motion is to proceed with our studies, feasibility studies that we have, and to move forward on this.
Mayor, I'll second for discussion.
Yes, go ahead.
Mayor?
Go ahead.
Mr. Neff, where are we with this plan that we put into motion, last year?
Yes, sir.
Are we in any type of negotiations with any land or purchasing any property?
Yes, sir. Yeah. And Mayor and City Council, what I would ask, because we are in negotiations on a parcel of property out by the arena, I would rather have this conversation in a closed session. If we could add that to one of our closed session items, I would love to bring you up to date and at least get a little bit of guidance as to the status of where we're at and where we're trying to go.
We can close and go now.
Let's go now. I'd say.
Okay.
So. Okay. Motion to go into executive session. Pursuant to government code, I don't know.
All in favor?
Of course, to include any staff that's deemed necessary, but staff, legal, would you?
551.072.
1.072? Yep.
All right, that's it.
Mayor, and since we're on this item, can we bring up the second executive session item as well? I think it's on the supplemental, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Executive session. All right, back to the executive session, regular session, no decisions were made. Next item.
Mayor, well, I'd like to just direct staff on both those items that were discussed, for staff to continue as directed.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Mayor, I'd like to continue with a motion to open up planning and zoning public hearings and introductory ordinances 3 through 8, and then also to include, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Was the appointments to commissions on the regular agenda already?
And the supplemental, both approved.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you so
Yes, ma'am.
much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Lost my train of thought, I apologize. Mayor, a motion is to open up planning and zoning public hearings and introductory ordinance 3 through 8, and also to include public hearing and introductory ordinance 9, 10, and 11, and to include number 2 on the supplemental agenda as well.
Motion? Second, all in favor? Opposed, motion passes.
Public hearing for the ordinance amending the zoning ordinance map of City of Laredo by rezoning lot 12, block 446, Eastern Division located at 202 West San Carlos Street from R3 Mixed Residential District to B1 Limited Business District. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommend denial of the proposed zone change and staff does not support the application. Number 4, public hearing for the ordinance amending zoning ordinance map of City of Laredo by amending ordinance number 2000-026, which authorizes a conditional use permit for a police substation, lot 20, block 5, Sierra Vista Police Station, plat located at 140 Sinister Loop, in order to change the use of the property to animal care substation office. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the proposed conditional use permit amendment and staff supports the application. Number 5, public hearing for the ordinance amending zoning ordinance City of Laredo by rezoning approximately 10.8 acres is further described by meets and bounds in attached exhibit A, located south of Tessie Drive and west of Colegio Lane from AG Agricultural District to R1B Single Family High Density District. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the proposed zone change and staff supports the application. Number 6, public hearing for the ordinance amending ordinance map City of Laredo by rezoning approximately 3.8 acres is further described by meets and bounds in attached exhibit A, located west of Bernadette Lane and southwest of Vaquero Boulevard from AG Agricultural District to R2 Multifamily Residential District. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the proposed zone change and staff supports the application. 7, public hearing for the ordinance amending zone ordinance map City of Laredo by rezoning approximately 4.61 acres as further described by meets and bounds in attached exhibit A, located south of Bartlett Avenue and east of Arthur Miller Court from R1 Single Family Residential Business District to B3 Community Business District to R1B Single Family High Density District. Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of proposed zone change and staff supports the application. Number 8, public hearing introductory ordinance amending the zoning ordinance map of the City of Laredo by rezoning approximately 11.91 acres as further described by meets and bounds in attached exhibit A, located east of FM 4072 and north of Rancho Viejo Drive from R1A Single Family Reduced Area District to R2 Multifamily Residential District. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of proposed zone change and staff supports the application. Number 9, authorizing renewal amendments to grant a non-exclusive franchise to Pedro P. Services LLC and to use the present and future streets, avenues, alleys, roads, highways, sidewalks, easements, and other public rights of way of the City of Laredo, Texas for purposes of constructing, maintaining, and operating a commercial container refuse gathering and disposing service, setting forth terms and conditions that govern the franchise, providing a severability clause and saving clause, and an effective date. Number 10, authorize city manager to grant non-exclusive franchise to I Need Dumpsters LLC to use the present and future streets, avenues, alleys, roads, highways, sidewalks, easements, and other public right-of-way of the City of Laredo, Texas for purposes of constructing, maintaining, and operating a commercial container, refuse gathering and disposing service, setting forth terms and conditions to govern the franchise, providing for severability clause, a savings clause, and an effective date. Number 11, public hearing to ordinance authorizing city manager to accept and grant approve a program and appropriate funds from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program, and amend the fiscal year 2025-2026 general budget by increasing the revenues and expenses in the amount of $327,560. The funds will be used to provide National Fire Protection Association approved physicals, laboratory testing, comprehensive cancer screens, and cardiovascular and fitness exams for all firefighters. The grant performance period is September 30th, 2025 to September 29th, 2027. Fund will be available in the Special Fire Grants Fund. On the supplemental agenda, number 2, a public hearing for ordinance of the City of Laredo, Texas, authorized city manager to accept and appropriate revenue in the amount of $48,742 and expenditures in the amount of $48,742 for expansion of services for individual case management services in individuals experiencing opioid use disorders at a 0% match for detoxification department for the term period of November 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026. Total amount of grants will not be exceeded $48,742 for the life of the grant. Funds will be accounted for in the detoxification department fund.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there 4 against?
Yes, sir.
Starting with number 3.
Yes, sir.
Number 3. 4 against, 4 against, 4 against.
Motion to close and introduce?
Motion, I'm sorry, Councilman Gutierrez, do you mind
Not at all.
Go ahead.
could the motion be to accept the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff and not support the application, denial of the proposed zone change? Close and deny. Thank you.
Second.
All right, second. On favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 4. 4 are against, 4 are against, 4 are against. Motion, second. On favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 5, 4 against, 4 against, 4 against.
Motion to close and introduce? Second.
Motion, second. On favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 6, 4 against, 4 against, 4 against.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 7, for or against, for or against, for or against.
Motion to close and introduce.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Number 8, for or against, for or against, for or against.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Number 9, for or against, for or against, for or against.
Motion to close and introduce.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Number 10, for or against, for or against, for or against.
Motion to close and introduce.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
Naz,
ma'am.
I have a
Go ahead.
question. Here again, we have another franchise of a waste collection company. And I know that we had some issues with making sure that all of the companies were vetted and were not only following all the setup that they needed to, but also acquiring the permits needed so that they would make sure to have accounts at the landfill. And we have this continuing discussion about the number of waste management companies that we have in the city. Can I ask environmental if these services, I know that we've talked about the length of the number of companies that need to be vetted, and if there were a lot of corrections that went on from the last discussion that we had, if that's been done, and if this company is meeting all the requirements. Or Mr., yes.
Good evening.
And I appreciate, Mr. Wagner, and is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful. I appreciate that you weren't here for the previous discussion, but when we had some discrepancies between some of the contracts that the waste management companies had signed, and there was some corrective measures taken, I just want to, if you can tell me what number of waste management company this is, how many now we have operating in the city, and if they've met all the permit requirements and having the account at the landfill.
It is my understanding that we are at 17 currently. These last two will be the last of the 17 that I was briefed on when I first got here. Of course, the number 9 that was just voted on is a continuation, and with number 10 being a new. It appears to me that we're still in the process of going through and checking all of the requirements per ordinance on all of the applicants, all 17 of them. There appear to be some things that are missing from each and every one of them in one way or another. So my staff is actively intending on going out and shoring up those discrepancies in there to ensure that we have all of the information that we need to have in order to be in compliance with the ordinance.
And while they are doing that, are they still allowed to operate?
It is my understanding, yes, that every one of these companies that is on the list is deficient in some way, and they are all continuing to bring waste to the landfill.
And will there be a point where if there is no mitigation or there's a delay in it to adjust what they need to adjust, that you will ask these companies to stop operating?
I will definitely think that would be the next step in this. I'm at the mercy of the decision of the council on how to proceed in that manner should we go there, because they do pick up the bulk of the waste that we receive. With all respect, I'm getting up to speed with this whole idea of the way that these franchises operate here since I've started, and I don't completely understand the mechanism or the reason for the mechanism, to be quite honest. And I'm looking at the potential for maybe bringing before the city manager's office some other options so that we can get out of this apparent quagmire that we're in now with some of these.
I really appreciate that, because it's been a question I've had for a number of months now about the number of waste management companies that we have. And it's not just because of this quantity of what seems to me to be an excess of companies, but understanding that any heavy truck, it's exponential, the impact to our roads. So that an extremely heavy truck, it causes more damage 5,000 times than a passenger car. So it matters. the regulation of these companies and finding out what the need is and making sure that we're not overextended, right? That we're just allowing enough companies to meet the needs of the city so that we don't overtax already overtaxed roads. So I appreciate you looking at it and coming back.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Wagner, I'm sorry, one more question. Along the same lines, is this company in particular, does it have an account with the city of Laredo? What I just don't want is a repeat of what just happened with the other company that we just had to process 2 weeks ago, or a month ago, and that it was paying on a cash. We certainly don't want a cash basis account, and going on their accountability, we want to make sure that our people, the city of Laredo employees, are able to get the monies that they should be receiving through bank accounts, not through cash. Do they have an account set up with you all?
Are we speaking of the number 10, the?
Number 10, correct.
Number
Yes,
10.
sir.
I cannot answer that question at this moment. I'll have to look into the books to see if they brought anything to us. It is my belief before you that they have not engaged in any activities, that they're just an application for activity. The number 9 is, however, continuing to break.
In 2 weeks, they'll get the second authorization, and then the third, and then they'll be able to function.
Correct.
So before the second and third come in, will you just be sure that the account is there and it's already functioning? Because I don't want the same thing to happen again with this company and have to come back to us over and over again. You saw the problems we had.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that company is already authorized completely, especially if we're going to go ahead and approve this with this third reading.
Yes, sir.
Please, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Motion
All
to
right.
close and introduce.
Okay, number 10, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we need a second. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Number 11, for or against, for or against, for or against.
Motion to close and introduce.
Motion? Second. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Number 12,
We have number 2, Mayor,
number 2.
on the supplement.
Oh, supplemental number 2. All right. Number 2 on the supplemental. Not for or against. For or against, for or against, for or against.
Motion to close and introduce.
Second. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Council to introduce number 12, 13 on the regular agenda and 3 and 4 on the supplemental. No motion necessary.
Mayor, I have a question on number 12.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Neb, in reviewing over the provisions for the compressed work week policy, it does talk about 24-hour shifts, and I was wondering what departments require 24-hour shifts?
Only the fire department has a 24-hour shift.
Okay, so that's the only, and the compressed work week, that's the only, and we need.
That would be the only department that can utilize that portion of it.
Okay, all right, thank you. I just didn't know where that came from.
Yeah,
I thought,
the idea is that any department that can work within a compressed work shift has the ability to move their schedule accordingly as long as it doesn't interfere with the customer service.
and this will be department by department determination?
It'll be department by department, yeah. Which follows what we do right now for police and for fire as well too, so.
Got a motion and a second, Mayor.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Number 13.
Oh, we've already introduced, Mayor, 12 and 13.
Okay.
And then the 3 and 4.
3 and 4 in
They're
supplement?
introduced already.
All
That's
right.
correct, okay. So, Mayor, motion to approve final reading of ordinances 15 through 18.
Mayor, I'd like
The only
to
reason
pull
I'm
out
excluding
18.
the only reason I'm excluding 14 and 19 is because they're duplicates.
I'd like to pull out 18, Mayor.
Okay, 18 out.
So motion to approve 15, 16, and 17.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Number 18, had a question?
Yes, Mayor, I wanted to clarify a few things. Last time this item came to us at the last council meeting, I had asked some questions about it, and a timeline was subsequently provided. And so I went through the timeline to kind of rewatch the videos, recheck the agenda items and all of that. And you know, I'm not against affordable housing. I think we need that. I think we need more of these type of projects. However, regarding this particular project, I do find that the property at 2200 Lafayette was utilized for a completely different program that was originally discussed with the city council and initiated by the Veteran Affairs Committee. When approvals were given, they were given for a tiny home for veteran project, transitional housing for homeless veterans. When a donation of tiny homes did not materialize, a project was furthered and completed with federal monies that did not allow the original scope of the project to proceed as intended. However, despite this fact, the Veteran Affairs Committee where this project originated and the City Council was misled to the fact that, quote, priority will be given to veterans. As stated multiple times throughout the timeline of this project, it wasn't until the City Council meeting on October 6, 2025, after over 4 years after this project had originally begun, that we finally learned that preference for veterans was not possible and is being utilized for, quote, 2 different programs. It's my finding that the property was misused and the council vision as guided by the Veteran Affairs Committee was not implemented. It's unfortunate, it's unfortunate that this happened. There have been several occasions where presentations were made to the veterans, even after the donation of the homes fell through. That happened in July. A HUD home grant was pursued. Yet in September, at the Veteran Affairs Committee meeting, we did tell the veterans that these will be for homeless veterans preference because that is how the grant came in. We have established by council a preference for veterans, homeless veterans, and that we recognize that there was not enough housing for veterans out there. The entire purpose originally for this property was supposed to be a transitional housing for veterans. Looking at the resolution attached to the agenda, it doesn't mention veterans at all. And I understand that homeless veterans is a criteria. However, now half the project is low income and half of it is homeless or at risk of homeless. That is not the original scope of the project. And it's very unfortunate that happened. However, it is still a good project because it's still affordable housing. But when council has a vision, when council sets a project, staff and management is supposed to execute that vision and that project. And here we are in a situation where we're having to accept the project because it's already built. And we've said this time and time again, is that once something gets built, it's very difficult to change, and here we are. However, it is unfortunate that the veterans are still continuing to not be made a priority on a project that's been over 4 years in the making. And I just want to go on the record to say that I don't think the resolution reflects the original intent of the project, and I'm very disappointed. And I'd like to see what my colleagues think about the situation, and I don't know if anybody wants to make a motion on this item, Mayor, but I'm not comfortable the way that it all played out. And I provided a report and a timeline for everybody to look over.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
So my question, Ms. Rodriguez, is this, are we continuing just to be for homeless and potential homeless, or is it now getting priority to veterans, or is there a way we can change it?
So the project, the way it, so good evening, Tina Rodriguez, Community Development Director. So the project, the way it was approved and the way the grant allows is for it to be for low income and homeless population. And under the homeless population, the veterans homeless is a population that is going to be assisted. That's what I was trying to explain the last time. And that is what I explained at multiple times at the Veterans Commission and at council, and in different staff reports that I have provided to council, that there was some change in the project grants that came in, and that's what we were able to put together to make sure that the project moved forward.
So it's because of the grant?
Yes.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
Just to clarify, Ms. Rodriguez, in your timeline, you said that you explain this to us. However, I could not find any evidence of an explanation.
So on September 13, 2022, I did go to the Veterans Affairs Committee, and I believe there was that one, and
And Mayor, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
You did state, well, actually, it was Ms. Cervantes that went to that meeting.
yeah, sorry, and then on the September 23rd, I went to that one, and I did review that video also, and I was explaining that since we weren't able to move forward anymore with the donation, that we were trying to find other grants, and I did explain that it would have to be homeless and homeless veterans. And yes, the transitional part, we are still working toward that model, because these are gonna be transitional homes for all the population that I mentioned.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez, on September 12th, you stated, quote, "We still don't have a proper name for it, but we're calling it the Tiny Homes Homeless Community, Homeless Veterans Community." That was after the donation fell through. I have the link in a report, and I'm happy to share.
So the committee, again, the committee was something, so when you all brought the project to the city, from the committee, you all asked the city to look at ways to make this project whole. At first, it was gonna be a donation of property, of these houses, and it was all, the city was all gonna put the land.
Mayor, if I
Then-
may?
Yes, go ahead.
Ms. Martinez, the only evidence of you ever bringing it to council for approval was on September 6th, 2022. And that was an item brought by Councilmember Cigarroa, and there was actually no official motion made on that. However, the discussion all centered around Homeless for Veterans project. That was never brought to council, discussed to us about any changes, other than agenda items that either came through engineering or through approval of something that did not specify. I'm gonna finish because I'm gonna take a while. Did not specify that it was for the homeless veterans. You also stated at that veteran meeting, you said, quote, and I quote, "These will be homeless veterans' preference because that is how the grant came in." This was after the HUD grant that you later stated was not able to be given preference for veterans. At that particular veteran meeting, you told the veterans that homeless veterans' preference because that is how the grant came in, and it is on video.
Yes, and I was referring to the homeless component. So homeless veteran is part of the homeless component. That is what we were speaking to, the homeless
Ms.
component.
Rodriguez, you said preference.
Yes, because the homeless preference component, it's the homeless component.
No, that's not the way it was stated. I was at that meeting. That's not the way it was projected. We have established preference for veterans and homeless veterans, and the veterans were under the impression, as was I, that this was going to be a project for veterans. And KGNS did a story. I actually have a link here from Ms. Elsie Hinojosa when she was a staffer in your department, and said, I quote, and this was in September 2nd, 2022. Elsie Hinojosa states, "What we're trying to do is trying to keep this community together for them to be working as a team, having their own type of village where it's only veterans. They can help each other out. So many plans our director has for this program." So it was, and there's other evidence here that it was all under the impression that, and I understand what you're saying from your perspective, but again, here on the agenda items, if you go through the agenda items, preference would be given to homeless veterans, preference would be given to homeless veterans, and then on the July 9th Veteran Affairs Committee meeting, there was a long understanding. At that point is when the veterans caught on that it was not going to be for veterans. And they even asked if there was any way to designate one or two properties. And you kind of told them, well, it's homeless and it has to have a homeless component. And you tried explaining that. But at the end, you did say, but of course the veterans would always have a preference, a priority. And that was not true.
So there is still the homeless component, the veterans homeless component to it, and I think that's where I think that's where we're getting our communications crossed. I don't see where we took out the homeless veterans component out of these projects. We made it happen, and that's what I was trying to get across. And I think that's what we've been trying to get across, is that the vision was to help the homeless veterans, and that vision hasn't changed. And that scope is still in the project as best as we could with the funding that was
Ms.
available.
Rodriguez, you said preference, priority. Those are strong words.
And again, when we spoke, even in the committee, there is times that I said, we're still working on what the policy and the project is gonna be. And I mentioned that a couple of times. I said, we're still working with the project because the grant is still a new grant. And this was a one-time grant. So the Home Art grant is a one-time grant. This is not a reoccurring grant. And I think I even mentioned that in the committees.
No, it's not in there. Watch the video.
Again, these are we try to make it as simple as we can to explain what we can do. If there are very complex grants that we go under, unfortunately through HUD, there is a lot of red tape sometimes that we have to apply for and are restricted to, and we try to make the best that we can. Again, our end game is affordable housing for our community. Homeless veterans is and still is part of this vision and still part of this project.
I understand that, but again, preference cannot, at the council meeting you said preference cannot be given to veterans. Now it's homeless veteran, it's homeless half, low income half, and so now, you changed it to, it's two different programs. None of this was discussed at council, and then when you referred back to the agenda item for the HUD and you said the projects were listed, they're not listed, it was not listed in the list of the projects that this was gonna be in that grant.
So, and I understand, so I did bring, there are some times that we bring items to council and we don't have time to give a presentation. There was times that I could have a presentation done to further explain and better maybe explain these projects, but that doesn't happen,
Well,
right?
at that, Mayor, if I may?
But I have been providing a monthly scope of this project since I believe September 2023, right before we brought it to council to award the construction of the project. Up until, last month, I've been giving monthly reports to all council and mayor on this project, and it talks about the low-income, homeless, and qualified population.
It wasn't clear that project was that project was the veterans project. You have a lot of projects going on.
It has I believe we put the address Lafayette Street, and we have even a rendering of the picture.
Well, you never brought it to council and explained it, and on the item on the agenda where all of these projects were listed, we actually pulled that consent agenda item and had a lengthy discussion about the Bethany House, putting all the money to the Bethany House. That was at that same meeting, and you had an opportunity to mention there that that the Veterans Project was gonna be included in this, and it was no longer gonna be the Veterans Project, and now it was gonna switch, and it was gonna become something else. There was only one council meeting where this project was discussed again, and it was back in 2022. All I'm saying, and I understand what you're saying, is that it was confusing, it wasn't clear, and at the end, we got a project that wasn't what it was originally supposed to be. And I think we need to look at this as a case study on how not to do things without coming and clarifying for the council, because giving us information dumps and expecting us to catch everything is very difficult when it's just ourselves and half an assistant, and there's so many projects going on at the city. I think that in the future, we need to have projects tied to agenda items, especially when one of them is a construction contract on the engineering agenda and not under community development. So it's hard for us to put two and two together and keep up with everything. But at the end of the day, again, homeless veterans will get to maybe have at the most 4 opportunities, and then that's assuming that they're in a waiting list. And it's still, I understand what you're saying, but when going through the timeline, this project changed without clear direction from council to become this project.
And I hear concerns, Councilwoman, and I will work toward being able to find a better solution to maybe communicate some of these project changes to you, but I can assure you that we do work very closely with our veterans population, our homeless veteran. We still have monthly meetings with all our providers, and we are closely tracking our homeless veterans out on the street, our unhoused population, not just our regular unhoused population, but also our veterans unhoused population. And I can tell you that our numbers have drastically decreased because of all the push that this council and that your committee and of course that the efforts of our partners have done. And I even checked and I went back because I want to make sure, how many homes would we actually be able to move forward and if it was just a homeless, a veteran project. And the reality is in the last 6 months, we've been doing such a good job as a community that I've only had less than 4 people on that waiting list of homeless veterans.
Well,
So I think we're working toward it. I've been trying to communicate again with all the members that brought this project forward since the beginning. I know we invited them to the groundbreaking when we did it a few months ago. And they're aware. They've also expressed that there's a phase 2. We want to be able to assist more, but I also want to make sure that what are our numbers out there, and we want to make sure that no homeless veteran or no homeless person is out there, unhoused. But our homeless veteran numbers have drastically gone down because I think of all the joint efforts that we've done.
Oh, thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
thank you. Good evening, Ms. Rodriguez. Thank you so much for being here. I do want to say that I do remember you coming to council because there was a discussion about the fact that this project had to change because of the funding source. And I do remember you saying, you being excited about the fact that you had identified a funding source so that this affordable housing project could move forward. And I want to say that you did explain at that meeting that it was not going to be what was previously envisioned. It would have a homeless veteran component, but that the funds that you had identified, because the previous funding just fell through, the funds that you had identified from the federal government would not allow you to restrict this community to only homeless veterans, that you had to be more inclusive and open it up to lower income and to other groups. And I cannot remember when, other than the fact that I was sitting here. And I just remember that it was a good thing, a positive thing, that you were able to save this project so that it could go through. And I didn't take that to mean that you intended to push aside the homeless veterans, nor did I think that you would not continue your efforts to make sure that housing eventually could maybe a community that was dedicated to them. Just, I saw that the realities of losing that first funding source meant that you had to be creative and that you were successful in finding new funding. And I do believe that that ARPA funding was very restricted and it had a timeline and there was some urgency to moving forward with the project, and that also informed your decision to move in this direction. That's a meeting that happened. I don't remember exactly when, other than it was some time ago. And I do remember that we were grateful to you for being able to continue with a project that created affordable housing for a needy population. So I want to thank you for that. I think the fact that this is coming to fruition is a great thing for the city. I appreciate the fact that also you're reporting now that the homeless veteran population has decreased, but that your efforts to make sure that we're identifying homeless veterans in the community continues, and that your outreach with all the different groups continues. I find your work to be very comprehensive, and I know you juggle a lot of regulations, because in my time on council, what we have seen from the federal government and all the regulations that you have to follow, that it's quite complicated and quite dense. And when, we've traveled with you to the city of Austin and also to Washington, D.C., and you've been in front of those committees that deal with homeless issues and affordable housing, that they have praised your work and they have appreciated your competency in discussing these really complicated issues. So thank you for seeing this project through. I know it isn't exactly what it was primarily intended to be, but I do feel like the outcome has been very positive for the community, and I appreciate your work.
All right?
Mayor, Councilor Figueroa, and then I want to.
Well, I
Okay,
was
go
just
ahead,
gonna
Counsel.
call for the question.
No, Mayor, I have actually have
Yes.
another comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Just regarding Councilmember Segaroa's comment, I would like, to request that I get provided the meeting, if you all can help me find that meeting, because I went through all the timeline, I watched all the meetings, and if you had that meeting in private with certain council members, then that doesn't count, because that's not a council direction. So I just wanna know what day it happened and when, because if I missed it, I wanna make sure that I can update my records, because right now I don't have any evidence, and I may have overlooked it, so if I could just, Ms. Rodriguez, if you could just provide me the exact meeting that discussion happened, because I couldn't find it in your timeline, and the dates that you provided, I watched them all, and I couldn't find it at all. So I just wanna make sure that my records are updated. If that happened, I wanna make sure that I get to see it and verify that, because if not, I mean, I spent a long time on this, and I could not find anything.
Right.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I appreciate, I really don't understand what's happening here, other than this feels like a witch hunt, and I don't know where management is on all of this, just sitting up on the sidelines. If there's an issue, I think it should be taken up with management, and at the end of the day, and I'm sorry, like, I've been trying to hold back here, but Ms. Tina came to the Veterans Affairs Committees. There have been multiple occasions where you have not been present, and that you had every opportunity, had you been there, to question her at that time. If you were not, if this did not make it onto your desk prior, it's not like it hasn't been on public record at meetings at the Veterans Affairs Committees. And at the end of the day, we're addressing affordable housing, we're addressing our homeless community, and this is a really good project in filling some of those gaps. And if we really care about affordable housing, and then let's plan. About a year ago, the fall of 2024, the mayor brought forward an item about affordable housing and coming up with a plan, and I have yet, let's talk about that. That has not come back to us. And I'm not sure why we're trying to tear a really good project apart and keep people from getting people into homes.
Mayor, if I may, I just want to
All right,
respond
go
to
ahead.
that. I understand what Councilmember Seattle was saying about the Veteran Affairs Committee presentations. However, I do want to add that there was a presentation to the Veteran Affairs Committee on July 13, 2021. I was present. There was a meeting on September 13, 2022. I was present. And, no, I'm sorry. I was not present. On the 12th, 2023, I was present. And there was one final meeting when neither Councilmember Figueroa nor I were present too. And that was right before the construction contract was awarded. And there were concerns that were stated at that meeting that were not discussed at the council meeting. And so it was on, I believe, I have to, the date is here, but I do have the timeline on the times that it went to the Veteran Affairs Committee. And so it is public. I did watch the videos, and I couldn't find any evidence of how this transitional housing project transitioned into this project that it is right now. Again, I'm not against affordable housing. However, I just want to state for the record that this project, what we're being presented and asked to be approved, is not what it was originally intended to be. It changed.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion, I'd like a motion, Mayor, motion to pass.
All right. Motion second, all in favor? Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right.
Mayor, motion to approve the consent agenda 20 through 41 with the exception of number 29, which needs to be read specifically.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed, motion passes.
For number 29, Mayor, I'd like to move to approve Resolution 2025 R280, authorizing defeasance and redemption of approximately $2,060,000 of the city outstanding combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation series 2015 and other related matters.
Second. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Mayor, can you bring back number 36? I'm sorry.
Second, for back number 36.
36. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
This is with regards to the professional services agreement with Dr. Cruz for continued physician oversight of the city's employee health and wellness clinic. This agreement consolidates medical direction, workers' compensation review, and prescriptive authority. The initial term of the agreement is 2 years with up to 2 additional one-year extensions upon satisfactory performance. Annual base compensation shall be $75,000 per year with a 3% annual cost of living adjustment, not to exceed a total contract value amount of $315,000. Funding is available on the Risk Management Fund, Employee Health and Wellness. And actually, my only remark is in the contract, in listing all of the requirements for Dr. Cruz, it does have an item, number 3, oversight and guidance, that says at least weekly and/or as needed oversight. And it's very easy for a very busy physician, and I mean zero disrespect, and if I overstep myself, please, please jump in to the physicians that are here on council. But it's very easy to get caught up in the private practice that's going on and things that are in your weekly practice. And the and/or is what is a little bit distressing. I would like to just see that it happens weekly, whether the oversight sometimes is a phone call. The oversight doesn't necessarily need to be physical presence, but physical presence ensures that this physician is also paying attention to this clinic. And when you allow for some more discretion than that, it's just easy for the tidal wave of all of the other responsibilities to kind of bury some of that. And for human nature, if it's in front of you, it's much easier to keep a handle on. And so I think our contract should reflect that.
Sure. Mayor and council member, thank you for that. Dr. Cruz actually holds office hours 1 day of the week, and that's kind of why we wrote it the way we did. If it takes more, then he has the ability for more as well too. But he is in the office seeing our patients, our employees 1 day a week, and then of course the oversight for the rest of the week, because we have our nurse practitioner that kind of runs the shop.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
and I might add something
Yes.
to that. When we are contracted to do oversight, it's based on our medical license. So we're responsible for everything that happens. So if this physician doesn't understand, I don't think none would. Anything that the nurse practitioner does or whatever staff is contingent to the medical license. So I think
Yes,
it's self-explanatory.
Mayor, I want to comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Since the item was pulled out, I was debating on bringing it out, but since it was already pulled out, I just want to, emphasize, kind of state that I'm not sure the full background is given on here, but, this doctor used to contract with us for a lot less. And we went through an RFQ process that council didn't initiate and basically found that this doctor didn't qualify. And through a long series of issues or discussions or whatever, but here we are back with the same doctor, which I'm glad he decided to come back, because he could have said, forget it. And we're already very medically underserved. He does serve our employees and helps out cut costs for our insurance policy by serving in this capacity. So I'm grateful that he is taking this contract. It's unfortunate that some of the things that happened for us to get to this point, and it is costing the city more money than it was before. So I just want to point that out.
All right.
Well, Mayor, may I?
Yes, go ahead.
I would just like to respond a little bit. I think that one thing I don't disagree is that the level of pay should be commensurate with the amount of responsibility that this doctor is taking on. And as Dr. Trevino was saying, that this really is his medical license that he is lending to this clinic, then we should respect that, and the compensation should reflect that as well. Thank you.
All right.
Mayor, just to clarify, I wasn't stating anything against compensating the doctor. My comment was on some background information that happened in the process, that it's not that he doesn't deserve the money. It's just that he wasn't originally asking for it until a bunch of things happened.
All right, noted. All right. Did you have a motion? Motion, any second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Mayor, motion to recess as a Laredo City Council and convene as the Laredo Mass Transit Board.
Motion, second, all in favor? Opposed, motion passed.
Motion to approve 42 and 44. I've got a question on 43.
Second, Mayor.
Motion, second, all in favor? All in favor? Motion passed.
Aye. Mayor, on number 43, I've got a question for El Metro or management. Mr. Garza, how are you, sir? So the question, sorry, Mr. Garza, is the way it reads, it's a difference in the contract of $93,000 for maintenance. Why the difference? And I'm assuming you went out for RFQs for this, and why the difference of $93,000?
RJ Garza, for the record, Transit Director. Yes, the maintenance agreement is one category. The only reason for this increase is because in the maintenance agreement, it includes a fee. Since we purchased 19 more buses, the cost of the has increased from 150 to 243,000.
Because of the increase of the amount of buses that we have now,
But it's only because
of the fleet.
the usage of the new fleet. It's
Okay.
not, the maintenance agreement still continues monthly.
Right, but it's because of the increase, of course, of the fleet of buses that
Yeah,
they're
and
using it over.
and it may not exceed that. We're estimating that that's gonna be pretty close to, we wanted to bring it to council to officially get it approved. And,
Thank you for the explanation. I appreciate it. Motion to approve.
Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Mayor, motion to adjourn as the Laredo Mass Transit Board and reconvene as the Laredo City Council. Sorry, excuse me.
Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Item 47. Mr. Rangel.
Go ahead.
Discussion with possible action and status update on the vehicles for hire ordinance and any other matters, incidents there too. The reason I brought this item up, it's, a couple of weeks ago, had a call from one of the taxi driver community members concerning of the ordinance of what's going on, so I couldn't give him a clear answer, so I just, we decided to put this in the council item and see if, give us an update of what's going on the ordinance of, for those for hire. So management, can you give me an answer of what's going on?
I can provide that, Mayor, Mayor, members of City Council. The ordinance has been introduced as of July 21st, earlier this year. After that, we met with the taxi driver, with the permit holders on September the 4th. Okay, they brought up a couple of concerns based on the ordinance that we presented as introductory. They brought up the pirate taxis, the insurance requirements, and the transfer of permits, which we have already included in the current ordinance. We're ready to bring that back to council as a final reading at the next council meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, they were here earlier as well. They brought up some things
Yeah, I saw them.
that we may want to look at, but nothing out of the ordinary, rather than what we already presented before on July 21st as introductory ordinance.
Mayor, there's no action needed, so.
All right,
just,
okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Cigarro, do you mind if I just make a motion to approve two consent agenda items that need to be done before?
Go ahead.
Motion to approve consent agenda item 1 and 2 on the supplemental.
Second.
Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
I'm sorry.
No, not Mayor.
Go ahead.
Actually, Mr. Chavez, do you mind sending the draft of the ordinance to myself and Councilmember?
Definitely,
Karen?
we will do that. Yes.
Thank you, appreciate it. Moving on to number 48, I'm sure
48.
Mr. Garza will be here soon. Discussion with, there he is. Discussion with possible action regarding the feasibility, planning, and potential development of a City of Laredo Civic Center, including evaluation of potential locations, funding mechanisms, public-private partnership opportunities, and any other matters incident thereto. Oh, and Councilmember Alyssa, thank you. Mayor, I'm bringing this item forward, or we're bringing this item forward because this is a much separate conversation, a distinct conversation from the one about the convention center. A civic center is a local audience. We have not had a proper civic center for a number of years now. There have been discussions about kind of a vision of maybe what it would look like, but there, as far as I can see, there are no really well-formed plans. And so I would like to see management get serious about a civic center. I think, I know there'll be some discussion about location, but I do think that this is a need in our city. We have the small spaces that are available to us through the community college and the university, and then the huge space for the auto arena, and there's not much space in between that would serve this sort of theatrical productions or other shows, things that the local community wants to participate in, and they need an arena to host it, and they need a place to host it in, and we just don't have that available. And as for a city of our size, it's a shame on us that we do not have a civic center. I don't know, I will turn, if I can, I'll turn it over to my.
Go ahead, Richard, first. Mayor, thank you, Councilmember Garza. Quick question, coming to the Civic Center, what did we do with the funds of the Civic Center that we sold? I wasn't here, just if you can,
And Mayor, and I apologize, thank you for this item, but I do apologize a little bit because the Civic Center, when the Civic Center was sold, that money was put into the Plaza Theater, which that money has to be spent on the Civic Center. So I had always made the assumption that the Plaza Theater was going to serve as the Civic Center. If that's not necessarily there, we can look at where those funds are at. But there's the funds that are put into the Plaza Theater are the Civic Center dollars that came from the sale of the Civic Center. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and so I think the item in my mind, that's one of the reasons we brought it up. I mean, it's sort of one of those projects that's still in the works, shelved. So getting the conversation going as to where do we go from here, where are we at? If that was the intention of it, because of prior administrations, then good. But at least we already know that the project is ongoing, and that I guess now we can put a timeline to it and figure out where are we and how to finish.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, that, of course, with the Plaza Theater, we are finishing up the design of the interior of that. Right now, the numbers are coming in higher than the budget was, so we're trying to work through all those pieces of that. But this year on the Plaza Theater, we have two projects out there, and that's the roof and the facade on the front of the building. So the work for the Plaza Theater is ongoing and it's continuing. So, but we are replacing the roof. We did take some of those monies and purchase some of the property around it so that we can expand out the space in the future as well too.
Yeah, and by definition, I think these civic centers are built so they can be social gatherings from the community from within and promote, I guess, community. We talked about other projects that we have ongoing to bring to Laredo, rightfully so. And I think this is just along the same route.
Yes.
I guess in my mind, I would like to see if staff can provide us with a written update and where we're headed, how long is it gonna take? And just so that we can bring everybody together, because I don't know, if, whoever the people that are doing it outside of the city or who you contracted with, where are they at, and ideas, thoughts, process, all that.
We can bring you up to date with all that information.
Yes, go ahead.
Just to kind of clarify on that, it was in 2021 when this council or the previous council approved redirecting canceling the Bruni Plaza Children's Museum, that's where the monies had originally gone, and putting the monies into the Plaza Theater. At the time, the estimate was like 12 million, 13 million, and the other additional 5 million was supposed to go for parking. So here we are 4 years, almost 5 years later, and we still don't have the design finalized. I think this project is taking way too long, and now we're at a point where we don't have enough money. It's just like, it is unacceptable that it takes 4 years to make a design. So that's a problem.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. You know, the majority of this council wasn't even on here when that happened. So, and the Plaza Theater is it's a legendary Laredo landmark that people want to see back open. So I agree with Councilmember Garza that, because we added some money in the capital budget, this year, but we haven't really been having meaningful discussions on the Plaza Theater. Just kind of, okay, I'm gonna throw a little extra money at it. It'd be nice to just, if we can get some more regular updates and get the city's really energy and inertia around it, just to kind of, because I'd like to be able to, tell the public when they can expect they'll actually be able to step foot inside the Plaza Theater again, so we can set that timeline and kind of all be focused on getting to and hitting that goal.
Let me provide you the update.
Mayor, if I
Yes,
may.
go ahead.
A quick question, what was the amount that we sold the Civic Center and what was put back to the plaza?
I believe that it was a little over 12 million. I don't have the exact number in my head, but it was a little over 12 million. We purchased some properties around it for right around 4 million. And so we have 9 million left for the interior of the work. There was a CIP project that was being considered into this year's budget, but we ended up, we were either going to do the 4-block area, because that one was a little bit higher than what the estimate was, or the Plaza Theater, and I held off on the Plaza Theater because I think there's some cost efficiencies that can happen within that structure. So
do you have a plan of how much we're gonna invest? How much have we invested already? 9 million?
we have 9 million in the bank that goes to the renovations of the Civic Center.
So how much is the study?
I'm sorry?
How much was the study gonna cost, or what's the estimate? So 4 years we haven't gotten an estimate?
The one estimate that was coming in based upon where the design was 17 million. And that's where we went back and we asked the designers to pull it back a little bit closer to what it was.
Yes, go ahead.
So a couple of things. I think one, we need to acknowledge that Congressman Cuellar also contributed about $750,000
Yes,
with
yes, he
a
did.
federal
Thank you.
earmark, I believe, for this project development. And we're very grateful for that. The other is, my understanding is that we're not sure that the Plaza Theater can serve as a civic center. And that's a huge issue, right? So I do think that the Plaza Theater is imagined as a community gathering space, and they've talked about having some theater time, movie time, and having it be like this cultural touchstone, and I think it would be very successful. But in the end, we need a civic center, whether it is housed there and somehow it's reworked and remodeled, or we look for a different site. We have to get serious about actually having a civic center. I can't speak for what happened before I was here, but it has been years, and so the city needs to move forward with getting a civic center planned and opened.
Yeah, and Mayor and council member, my only concern was when you said for city management to take it seriously, I apologize for thinking that the Plaza Theater was going to be the Civic Center. But if we really want to design out a different Civic Center, because that, I think the conversation I had with other council people as well too, is that stage is going to be small for exactly what you're talking about, for those types of events. And so, but if we want to take that differently, then I'm happy to go that route as
Mayor,
well.
if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
If we're gonna talk about changing the venue for the Civic Center, then we're gonna have to redirect the monies to another project, because my understanding is those Civic Center funds had to be used for a similar purpose. And so if we're gonna say that the Plaza Theater is no longer our Civic Center, then we're gonna probably have to take those monies and put them into another project and just either figure out how to fund the plaza a different way or put that project on hold, because it's not moving anyways.
Mayor, we'll put that into the report.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
oh, no, I just wanted to reiterate what was being said, but also just the fact that from what I've heard from management, there's still not an understanding of the use of the space, which is absolutely ridiculous after we've, like, years. And obviously I echo everybody else in terms of this is an iconic building for the city, and is something that at some point we do need to get serious about.
So,
Mayor,
Who was
just
that?
to clarify, on the Civic Center, since it's Councilmember Cigano's item, are we gonna pursue a different venue? And, cause that, we need to talk about maybe redirecting those monies into something else, or what are we gonna do?
Yes, go ahead.
I'll make a motion. I would like to direct management to come back with these Laredo Civic Center plans, whether it's the Plaza Theater, whether it's some investigation about the restriction on those funds, if they were actually restricted, because I understood that it was designed to revitalize, rehabilitate this cultural icon in the downtown, which I don't know if necessarily meant that it had to serve the same purpose, because it still will be a public gathering space. So if we could just get a look at historically what those monies were intended for, and then also going forward, is there the ability for the Plaza Theater to serve this purpose, or do we need to look for a different site? But in the end, we need a civic center. So I know this will take probably some time, but we would like to see those plans or some idea of the direction to go in. That would be my motion, to direct you to do that.
would you amend your motion to move those 9 million to to look for an area for looking at Civic Center?
No, because we don't know, I'm sorry.
No, let's go ahead, go ahead.
Because we don't know yet what the parameters are of this facility.
Mayor,
And so I'd like to find
may
out.
I just ask for council preference, if I can provide you with a complete report, show you how we got to today for that, and then you can provide the direction at that point in time as to what's the next steps. I will make sure you have all the information that you could want on the history and where we're at.
Mayor, I'll second that motion.
That's fine. Let's get that.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Mayor, number 49, discussion and possible action to support federal employees affected by a government shutdown by allowing the deferral of utility payments during the shutdown period without disconnection of a necessity, penalties or late fees, and any other matters incident thereto, co-sponsored by Councilmember Gilbert Gonzalez, Councilmember Ricardo Rangel, and wasn't on there, but Councilmember Tyler King called as well. This is extremely important. As you all know, we've been under a government shutdown for 3 weeks now, and it's looking like it's going to go even further, unfortunately. So my motion would be exactly what I read, to not disconnect water utilities for these federal employees that are not being compensated for their jobs, and to continue that, and certainly not disconnect them either until this government shutdown gets taken care of.
I'll second that motion.
Motion second. Go ahead.
Councilmember Gutierrez, I don't know if you want to take the amendment. I know there was a first reading ordinance back in 2019 when it first occurred. So they can see what happened with that first reading. It fell through. Maybe they can bring it back and we can create an ordinance for that as well.
I think that's, we'll go ahead and accept that amendment, but for this to take place as of now.
You know, Mayor and City Council, if I may give you a little bit more guidance on that as well too, just so you know, we have hardship provisions already built into our utility billing. I would take this motion exactly with what you're doing to invoke the hardship provisions under Chapter 31, and we actually work with these individuals that are facing this hardship for that. So that'll assist any verified federal employees affected by the federal government shutdown, allowing temporary suspension of late penalty fees, service disconnections during the shut-off period.
Yeah, great. And also, Mayor, again, this is just for the public to know, this is not a credit or anything like that.
No, sir. No, sir. It does prevent us from having to do all the other side of that, which we do allow already within the ordinance for the hardship.
And it includes utilities, which means water, sewer, and trash.
It'll be the utility bill. Yes, sir.
Mayor, really quick, management, do we know how they're gonna identify these employees? How the utilities department will?
I have not looked at that as to how we're going to determine. Yes, we have the ability, I think, so.
Good evening, Dora Maldonado, tax assessor collector. What we're gonna do, we're gonna ask for a letter from the employer of the persons coming in. So far, we have 8 people that have called in, and as per Mr. Tarek, the utilities director, we're putting notes in the account to identify these customers. But after tonight, we have a code where we're gonna code each account accordingly so that we can follow your direction.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank
Motion
you.
in a second, Mayor?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
Mayor, number 50, discussion with possible action to install speed humps on Martin Street, Josefina Drive, Crownwood Drive, and Bulldog Boulevard as needed, and any matters answered there too.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Number 51.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you, Mayor. Item 51 is an item just checking up. We just passed the budget fiscal year 25-26 capital improvement plan, $82 million. There was $150,000 set aside for indoor recreation feasibility study to see where throughout the city might be good locations for indoor recreation from all districts 1 through 8. And my question is just to management, what the next steps will be to implement that feasibility study. Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor. Eddie De Los Santos, City Engineer for the record, Doing Council. So for this item, Councilman King, we currently have a draft RFQ. So our plan is hopefully by the end of the year, get an RFQ. Our engineering department is currently doing a draft. Once we have a draft that we feel comfortable with, we'll meet with Parks and his staff to establish what requirements or what kind of firms we're looking for. They can come into our city and assess our city as a whole to determine where we need an indoor recreational facility.
Just to be clear, we have a Parks Master Plan, Mr. Gomez, and it recommended as the next step to do, because it already identified that we had a need of indoor recreation, I believe, but the next step in the process is to do this feasibility study to confirm locations. Is that correct?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Diego Gomez, Parks Authority. That's correct, Dr. King. According to the master plan that we did 4 years ago, they came with some recommendations for the rec center. We will, in working with engineering, we will, whenever we get the RFQ out so that we can follow those guidelines of the master plan that was suggested back 4 years ago for the location and the size of what we're looking at and so on. So we can go anywhere from something like for example, Hillside Rec Center, that's 15,000 square feet. That's around what we're looking at around that area, around that size that we have the rec center. Then you have your Haynes and El Eden, Fasken that are bigger. So you're looking at 15,000 square feet from hillside kind of size to where something like Faskin or Haynes, that's just almost about 25 to 27,000 square feet. So we would come up with a size and that we would ask for the study.
And take into account new population.
Yes,
growth.
sir. Yeah, Mayor and council member, yes. The idea about the feasibility study is to figure out exactly where should these facilities be placed, not just the size alone, but where in the location in the city should they be set? Because it'll be based upon the proximity to the amount of population is the idea.
Mayor, if I may?
Go ahead.
Just a quick question on that. Are you also going to be looking at some of the facilities that we have that are not sufficient? Like, for example, the one on McPherson? I know in District 5 has a very tiny facility, and I know it gets utilized a lot. It doesn't have a lot of the features that some of the other ones do. Are you also looking into like the demographics as far as, CDBG areas or the income levels? I mean, does any of that factor into the need for these types of facilities? In other words, some areas might not be suited for that because they have access to other facilities that, is all of that being considered as well?
Within the master plan, of course, it talks about making sure that the facilities are accessible through walkability or proximity, right? I mean, for that, we can look at it for those special cases as well too, for the disadvantaged and such like that within that feasibility study.
Well, Mayor, just if you're talking about the need for it, right, because keyword is need, we should look at other factors besides just population and proximity, because we need to look at who's going to be using it.
And I think it goes back to what you were saying, Mayor Pro Tem, was with the size of the facility as well too, because it is based upon how we're growing, where we're located at, so it'll be spread throughout. I think we also have within the master plan that we have a park within every mile, or I don't remember.
Mile and a half.
Mile and a half. So to make everything as walkable as possible for that, but we can put that into the feasibility study, definitely.
Go ahead.
I have a quick question. So, saying that there's a building that's already there, like a rec center, that needs more, does that come from our district priority funds? Or is it from the future CIP?
In the future, I would say Councilman Rangel.
Do you have a plan for all that? And that's what we're asking.
That's what the feasibility was.
Instead of using our district priority funds?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But it can, right? Okay.
Yes, it can.
I just want to make sure.
Sure. Mayor, I mean.
Yes, go ahead.
Coach, as you know, you and I have spoken about this, the expansion of Blas Castaneda,
Yes.
at the recreation center there
Yeah.
on McPherson.
Very tall, very
It's
busy.
the most utilized rec center, if I'm not mistaken, in the entire city of
It's
Laredo.
centralized.
We've got
And the
some that
furthest
are,
north-
that are extremely enormous, huge ones, and they're beautiful. This one we've talked about possibly expanding it, but of course, we need funds for it.
Right.
So, you can advocate for them, absolutely, I think we push it for them.
Sure, no, that's what, you're right, Hillside is one of the busiest, it's more central and the northernmost rec centers. During the summer, as a matter of fact, we get in contract with UISD to offer our summer programs. So we use Borchers or Malakoff, some of those schools up there in the north, Deano, so that we can offer some services throughout for everyone, we also work with some of the LISDs, one of the LISD school as well. So, well, as you all know, we are growing. Now the kids are hopefully starting to come out and play a little bit more, which is a good sign, right? And that's what we need them. That's what we need them to do. During our summer programs, you see Faskin, Haynes, they're full with capacity, and that's great. Great to see that. So, and we're offering more programming as well. So we need to really look into this, and hopefully that feasibility study will show that we need growth everywhere.
Right.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
So I like that you mentioned the collaboration that we have, and that you're working with the school districts so that we, not only in looking for new sites and meeting our growth needs, but that we're very mindful of how we can leverage our ability for these collaborations and not create an abundance of pools, let's say. Right, that we can use some of these other facilities that are offered by the school districts and really leverage the taxpayer dollar.
Correct.
Right, so that we're not always just building new,
yeah.
but we're being smart about it.
Right.
And investments that are smart. And then I'm grateful that they'll be looking at Highway 359 and all the growth that's going out there too. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, thank you. Next item,
Yes, Mayor, 52.
52.
Now, there was a confusion on this one. So there's two pieces of property being looked at by the city. That is, one is adjacent to North Central Park and.
Mayor, if I may,
Oh,
real quick, just
sorry.
interject.
Yes.
If we're gonna talk about real property, I don't
Yeah.
think it's, smart for us to talk about it out here, just
But-
because.
My point is, there's two different pieces of property, and this item is referencing one piece, and it seems staff might have prepared for another one. So what I would like to do is just make a motion to have parks, management, community development, to bring back the two different properties in question to discuss at the next council meeting in executive session, both properties. Yeah.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
53.
53, this is as it relates, so, okay, this is a technical question as it relates to city ordinances operating. So, long story short is we have an issue, and it happens all over the city, of course, but there's one instance in particular that has brought this question up to me where there's individuals selling cars on their property that are not their personal vehicles. My understanding is that it's okay to sell your own car out in front of you, put it in your property or on your grass or whatever, and advertise your own car to sell. But we've had issues, and I know it exists in all the districts, where people are using their prime real estate, their home in a prime location with a corner lot, to sell other people's cars, where we're having week to week a different car there. And so just wanted clarification on what our ordinance actually says. If someone's been cited, what's the next steps? And do we need to strengthen the city ordinance to enforce this type of rule? Yeah.
We have a small presentation.
Name for the record, please.
Vanessa Guerra from the Planning Department. Here we go. Alrighty then. Okay, perfect. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So this, just a quick overview of the presentation. We're gonna go over, and we're gonna go as fast as you like, but we tried to address everything that was on the agenda item. So we're gonna quickly review home occupations, display of vehicles for sale in the public right-of-way, the number of cars individuals may own, vehicle holding yards, car dealers, the DMV, city ordinances, and selling items in residential yards, and then we'll finish up with some recommendations. So, in general, businesses are not permitted in zoning districts. If we find a business in a residential zoning district, they are enforced as a zoning violation. That being said, certain very low-impact uses are allowed as home occupations. I've included a brief list of those. You'll see that they could include beauty salons by appointment, barber shops, 12 children or less as childcare, cell phone repair, tutoring services. So there's a myriad of low-impact uses that are allowed as home occupations. So, display of vehicles for sale in the public right-of-way. Our Code of Ordinances prohibits this. So you may not park a vehicle on the public right-of-way for displaying the vehicle for sale. Number of cars you may own. The no city ordinance limits the number of cars a homeowner can own, of course. As long as they are personal vehicles and they are not junk vehicles, there is no limit to how many vehicles you can store, or park on your property. So vehicle holding yards, a storage yard for junked and dismantled, wrecked, or auctioned vehicles is prohibited in residential districts. Car dealers, they are very much prohibited in residential zoning districts. So, the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles allows any home occupant to sell 4 vehicles per calendar year, but each vehicle must be titled in the name of an individual, so it cannot be registered to a car dealer. They have enforcement mechanisms. There's a complaint number where people can call to complain if they suspect that a car is registered to a car dealer and is being sold out of a residential area. So the city ordinance does not have, or does not address the sale of personal vehicles from a home. As long as the vehicle is not registered to a car dealer, anyone can sell a vehicle from their home. The violation occurs if the sale is to a registered car dealer. Then zoning enforcement will enforce the ordinance that a business is occurring in the residential zone. The obstacles for our enforcement is that our enforcement folks do not have access to the Texas DMV or the police department databases to verify if the vehicle is registered to a dealer. So we have to just rely on the person's word. So just touching base very quickly on residential items. There's a permit if you want to have a garage sale, it's a $15 permit, and you can have a max of 5 per calendar year. So, all of that being said, we kind of brainstormed a little bit and how can we address this. So we just gave a bunch of options. So we thought maybe we could create an ordinance to limit the sale of personal vehicles from a home to 4 vehicles per calendar year, sort of mirroring the DMV regulations, per lot. So not per occupant, but per lot. Also, maybe create an ordinance that requires property owners to show or offer proof that the title is their personal or not registered to a car dealership, allowing zoning officers possibly to access the police database so that they can confirm whether the vehicles are titled as personal or titled under a car dealer. Or alternately, maybe those calls could be referred to the police community service officers, as they do have access to the police databases and they can more easily check where those vehicles are registered. And/or alternately, having those complaints go to the DMV, who do have enforcement personnel. So with that, of course, we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Guerra. So the key, what I'm hearing is that you're saying right now, the city ordinance says someone can sell someone else's car out of their home if it's not registered to a car dealer.
Yeah, the only prohibition is that it can't be registered to a car dealer. So as long as it's a personal vehicle not registered to a car dealer, yes, you can.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be
To the
their
occupant?
personal
No.
vehicle. Because the first couple slides, it made it sound like it had to be in your, the title had to be in the person's name, and then later on you said the city
No.
ordinance.
It has to be in a private person's name, but not the occupant's name. The homeowner, an occupant of the home doesn't have to live there. So you can sell your friend's vehicle. I'm sorry, correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong.
Regarding the other, Raniel Galal, for the records, regarding the other issue, this year, concerning cases like this, just to shed some light, we've addressed it like 55 times this year. And most of the complaints come in through either our 795-2800 or through your administrative assistants that you all receive complaints. So we've issued like 47 citations.
All throughout the whole city? Or
Throughout the whole city. So I was given the information on that address. So we'll check right away if it's, I think he is a dealer, so we'll address it. And we'll do surveillance when we have to, how many times he parks, the hours he parks and all this. And then we'll also, I can even send people undercover to see if they're selling cars from there and stuff like that. And so we'll address that address there.
But is the rest of, I mean, because, I know we don't make new ordinances just off one, issue. So I'm just, does the rest of council see this as an issue worth addressing, or?
I mean, as far as the ordinances, we could always get better and we could have more tools.
There were some recommendations, there were some
Yes.
recommendations.
But
made
this
there.
address will take care of it. And like I said, there
Yeah,
will
and
be
I-
on it
And I didn't
tomorrow.
want to, and I appreciate that. I don't, of course, I don't want to just make it about one issue, because I'm sure it's a problem everywhere. Do any other,
Well, if I can comment on that, I mean, if people are turning their front
Yes.
yard into a business, we do have an ordinance against operating a business, because people are gonna have to come by and
Correct.
test drive it, they're gonna stop and ask questions.
I think there's already a report on this, and they've tried to give him citations, but his excuse is that he's coming during lunchtime and that he's taking out, that's the only time he parks it, but we'll establish a little, yes, and then we'll cite him correctly.
I think maybe what
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
That's basically what it is in this
Thank you.
case.
Maybe Mayor Pro Tem's suggesting that it's an issue citywide that's worth strengthening, because maybe regardless, like, maybe it shouldn't be allowed even if it's someone else's car. Maybe it should only be allowed if it's your personal car, or you entitled to your name or someone who lives in the home, or does that make it too cumbersome for you all?
I mean,
to
like I
cite
said,
it?
if it's better for us, it's only if you can sell your car. And then, and also the condition of the car, is it operable or is it?
And I guess
Yeah,
for people
exactly.
and then I guess the issue becomes for people that are renting,
Correct.
you know.
And it has to be the homeowner, such like that. But we'll sit in and on the recommendations when we can
Well-
amend the ordinance.
Well, is there a way to do, I mean, is it overreaching on our part, or is it a
Maybe.
norm from other cities
Maybe
where?
we'll have to look into that.
Well, let's say the license plate has to run back to the property that that the vehicle is sitting at with the for sale sign, and if it doesn't, then there's some violation on that. I mean,
Yeah.
because
Is
it's
that
pretty
It's
easy
still a
to.
little, it's still a little bit.
That's gonna be tough.
Any thoughts from legal, or like options that we could pursue?
What can we do, Joaquin? What can we not do?
What can we do? Oh my goodness, well, as far as personal property rights, as long as they're not operating as a business, I think they're not in violation of our ordinance. Now, the problem is gonna be the burden of proof. If we do issue a citation, the burden of proof is gonna be beyond a reasonable doubt. So a jury, I'm sorry?
Prove it's a business.
Yeah, to prove that it is a business, and then you're gonna have to think about how much resources do you wanna spend on the investigation, the operations that might come from the Laredo Police Department, and whether or not those tools can be better utilized combating other types of crime.
Well, is there a way to say that if you're have a for sale sign on a vehicle in front of your property on a regular basis, let's say it's a one-time thing, you're trying to sell a vehicle, but if you're always selling vehicles on your front yard, then how do you transition from acceptable to unacceptable? Is there some kind of parameter in that we can set? Can you?
I mean, if you have multiple citations, if we do cite the individual, and we have multiple citations, then we could opt for a temporary restraining order.
But cite them for what if it's not a violation?
Cite them for operating a business. So as long as the code enforcement officer has probable cause, then they can fulfill the citation. Now, the trick is going to be going to municipal court and proving the allegations in that citation and then getting a conviction. But the citation can be issued as long as the code enforcement officer has probable cause to issue it. Probable cause would be any articulable facts that would convince an ordinary person to assume that they are committing an offense.
In this case, I think we have several pictures where it's different cars and they stay there for a long time. It's not during the lunch hour, so I think we can establish.
Well, we do have a problem, I don't know about front yards, but I know we have a problem with some people selling vehicles and parking them on the side of the road.
That's another
And they
violation
kind of
also.
operate
We
a
can
car
use it,
lot.
yeah. So those are using the commercial use for the personal gains, and they go straight to municipal court.
So the more violations that we have, then the more we can justify getting a temporary restraining order. We would file a lawsuit against that business or that homeowner, and we would have a signed order from a judge saying that they need to cease and desist from doing that type of activity, and they need to get into compliance with our city ordinances. That's the civil route that we can go from the city legal department.
I don't see a big problem with that in my particular area. I mean, maybe we can do it on a case-by-case basis.
Maybe,
Well, I think we need to set some guidelines, maybe.
maybe you can put back up, Mayor, the 5 recommendations that you already have, Ms. Guerra, just so, in case the whole council didn't get a chance to see them. But, and I think, my motion to start would at least be to draft, to have city attorney's office draft an ordinance that incorporates the recommendations listed by Ms. Guerra in coordination with police and with planning, and bring it back to council.
Second. Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Ms. Guerra, does the legal department have access to this presentation?
We can send it to you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Item 54, discussion with possible action on opportunities for centralization of city services within the organization and any other matters incident there too. I've spoken to management a little bit about this. I think there's some opportunities for bringing, for example, the maintenance department in to a centralized area and dispatching out of there. You'd keep all the cleaning supplies together, you'd keep everything. Possibly inventory management, where we keep track of all the property that is within the organization. It also came out at the auditors meeting that we're not really tracking purchases that are under $5,000. There's a threshold, and I think that's a problem. There's a lot of things that you can buy for less than $5,000 that we should keep track of. For example, laptops, iPads, all kinds of electronics. So I think we need a better policy when it comes to inventory management and making sure that when it comes to electronics, that we're tracking all the purchases regardless. I mean, maybe set a threshold of like $200 or something, but not $5,000. You can buy a lot of electronics for $5,000, and then you don't know where they are because you don't have a system to track them. So I think we need to tighten up some of these problems some of these issues that we're not really focused on. And it's also come to my attention in talking with some of the business community. We've been trying to make our business department a little more efficient when it comes to annexation to certificate of occupancy and that entire process. And it was suggested that we look into possibly creating some kind of development support services department or some small business emphasis project where somebody comes forward with a business plan or idea. They come to us with the paperwork, and we have somebody that guides them through the process, because we keep hearing that it's taking too long. So I'd like for management to bring some ideas on some plans for revitalizing some of these processes that we have internally, and maybe revamping some of these departments or creating a department or what that could look like. And so the idea would be more efficiency, better accountability, and then also working with the auditor to make sure that she can do her job in keeping track of our inventory and stuff like that. So that's my motion, is just for management to bring us back some ideas. Did you want to comment on that?
Yes. I wanted to ask, I know when we had a presentation earlier, or a couple meetings ago with our information technology director, that some of this centralization requires a great deal of money, because different software has to communicate with specialized software in one department, has to communicate with specialized software in another department, and sometimes those costs are very, very expensive. I'm wondering if the efficiency study is going to look into that to see what would be the cost of trying to centralize a database for all of this. And so that when we move forward, it's not just, we're looking for efficiencies on the human side, but also that they come with a reasonable cost burden for the taxpayer.
Mr. Neff?
Mayor Protem and council. We talked a little bit about this at the strategic planning session, and after that conversation, it was like, okay, we'll pull this in, we'll put it together for the efficiency study that we're hoping to have out by the middle of November is what we're hoping for the efficiency study, to get it into your hands so that we can start talking about this. So we have done some of it already. I mean, like we talked about with the code enforcement officers, placing them all underneath the police department. And so we can move this forward very, very, very well with your motion and everything. We'll put it together, we'll bring it in. You'll know the cost, you'll know what it's gonna take in order to get some of this done. But some of it is just the consolidation of our resources for that. And those are the nice ones, so.
Okay, I mean, we just want to continue on getting more efficient, not just in money, but in practices, processes, and want to make sure that we're addressing those concerns in those particular areas that I mentioned, because those seem to be coming up a little bit more often than I'd like. So there's a motion and a second. Is there any other comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. My last item is discussion with possible action regarding Riverbank Drive and any other matters incident there too. So Riverbank Drive has been an ongoing thing that has come up over the years. But there's a middle school now, and there's a neighborhood across the street. We've asked for crosswalks. Wanted to explore that possibility, and then I had talked to management and engineering about a possible realignment there. However, it does involve real estate, and so I think the more appropriate thing would be to have that portion of the conversation in executive session. But if you have any information on the crosswalks, or, yeah, it might be that. I mean, I think we can talk about it in executive session, or only because it involves personal real estate. Okay, so it shouldn't be a long conversation, but I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion to enter into executive session pursuant to, yes.
You want to extend the meeting?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Motion to extend the meeting to 11?
Motion. Motion second, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.072, deliberation about real property, and 551.071, consultation with attorney, to include management and any relevant staff. And we shouldn't be long, it's just a quick discussion with council. It is 10:20. I have a motion to enter. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. It's 10:20. We'll be going into executive session.
Session, it is 10:37. No decisions or agreements were made.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to allow management to proceed as discussed.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Mayor, for the remainder of the item, I wanted to talk about the crosswalk to get to the middle school off of Aquero Boulevard from Riverbank. If you don't have that right now, can you bring a presentation at the next council meeting to discuss that? Because I had requested opportunities for a crosswalk, so that they can get from one side of the street to the other, and see what we can do to make that road a little bit more safe, because we did have a fatality not too long ago, and we have kids crossing the street, and we don't want anything to happen to our kids.
You can definitely look into that and bring it up in the next council meeting.
So I'll wait for the next council meeting to talk about the other topics.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, thank you. Mayor, I'm finished with my item.
All right.
Mayor, number 56, Mayor.
Number 56.
Discussion with possible action
to,
Yeah.
discussion with possible action to consider the Mercadito Azteca feasibility study, including potential designation of 14 Iturbide as a project site, comparison of renovation needs identified in the feasibility study with the assessment prepared by the engineering department, the identification of which organization would it be engaged to work with this property, and identification of funding partnerships to offset costs of the building renovation, startup, and ongoing operations, and any other matters incident there too. So we have the city has a property along Zacate Creek that sits within the Azteca neighborhood, and it's been abandoned for a very long time. And it used to serve as a community center. And so there's funding within the district to help renovate the space, and ultimately the goal would be for it to ideally turn into a mercadito. The feasibility around this came from working with the residents over the past couple of years, and funding that they received through a coalition from the Methodist Healthcare Ministries work that was being done here. And so really this stems directly from the Laredo Healthy Food Systems Plan that we adopted a few years ago also. And really trying to identify projects that fill the need of access to food. We have vast areas within Laredo that are food deserts, and I would love to continue seeing if this is possible and get the support of council to move forward.
Right. Yes, go ahead.
I don't know, Councilmember Cigarroy, if the Aztec Economic Development Corporation has been a part of the conversation, but I know that they do exist in that neighborhood, and they do a lot of good work in meeting some of the other financial needs, financial literacy for that community, and other programs that they have. And I wonder, and they do operate out of a small facility there, and I do wonder if maybe there's an opportunity to leverage their programs with the opportunity to expand into this space. And that would create another organization that could take some of the oversight and some of the programming of this space.
Yes, there's a couple organizations in terms of managing and running the program itself. There's a couple organizations that we can speak with, and that I've already shared the idea with, and they're very interested. And ultimately, it's to reactivate the space. Like, if hopefully this idea is successful, and it would be a pilot program that we could technically replicate throughout the city. But specifically for this space, it would help revitalize the neighborhood as well, and just ultimately to activate it too.
Mayor, I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Councilmember, are you gonna ask management to bring a plan for funding and all that, or what are you making
The
a
funding
motion?
would be through the district, and through district funding.
So are you gonna make a motion? Is there?
Yes.
That is your
to
motion?
approve, yes.
All right. Motion second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Mayor, the last item is number 8 on the supplemental agenda, Mayor.
Number 8 on the supplemental, that's you. General Counsel discussions and presentation of number 8 on the supplemental.
Thank you. Discussion with possible action to create an ordinance regarding signage in the historic district of Laredo to prevent illuminated signs in and adjacent to San Agustin Plaza in order to preserve its authenticity. And I did want to mention that it turns out that the city of Laredo does have an ordinance, thank you very much, Mr. Nguyen, about signage. Oh, is that what you're here for? Please proceed. Thank you, Ms. Dana.
Sure. I have a very brief presentation. So, just a little bit of background. The San Agustin Plaza is zoned in the AE district, the Arts and Entertainment District. It's located within the San Agustin de Laredo Historic District. So, signs in the historic district. If you want to place a sign in the historic district, you need to get a sign permit. So, in order to get the sign permit, you need to comply with the sign ordinance, and you need to get approval from the Historic Landmark Board. In order to get approval from the Historic Landmark Board, you need to, again, comply with the sign ordinance, be in compliance with the Historic Urban Design Guidelines, and of course, the Secretary of Interior standards. So, regarding illuminated signage, the code defines it as internally and externally lighted signs, reflective signs, glowing or radiating signs. These sorts of signs are categorized as wall signs in general. The code prescribes that they are limited to 72 square feet max area, that's square footage of the sign itself in the historic district. So this is how it's categorized in the Code of Ordinances. So you see walls in general, 72 square feet in CBD and AE. So, sign ordinance regulations pertaining to illuminated signage. External light shall be shielded and no direct light shall be cast into residential or public streets. Signs are to be proportionate to the building and may not dominate the appearance of the building. No significant glare or pose a safety hazard. Blinking, flashing, or animation is prohibited. The urban design guidelines prescribe that only one sign is allowed per building facade for interior lots and 2 signs are allowed for corner lots. Indirect lighting is preferred. Light source must be concealed. Animated signs are prohibited. And the sign may not overpower the building or obscure significant architectural features. The Secretary of Interior standards sort of echo our local guidelines, and then it says, again, may not obscure or remove the historic materials or features. The sign has to be in line with the scale and design of the facade, and the signs must complement the building's historic storefront features and, of course, avoid visual disruption. So, when considering any amendment to the sign ordinance, we want to make sure that we consider a few things while possibly developing that ordinance, and we want to think about preserving the historic authenticity and visual character of the area. We want to ensure that signage is compatible with the surrounding architecture and reduce the glare and lighting pollution near the plaza. We want to reinforce the city's commitment to historic preservation and support the plaza's cultural and pedestrian-oriented role while promoting welcoming a historically appropriate nighttime setting. We did a little bit of looking around at what other historic districts are doing. This is the first picture that you see here is a picture from my hometown. This is Bourbon Street. This is the Vieux Carré Historic District. This is New Orleans. And we noticed that you'll see a ton of neon and illuminated signage is allowed. Historic Savannah is also allows quite a bit of illuminated and neon signage. But we did notice that once you get around their historic plazas, the lighting is much more limited. So this right to the right on this picture is Jackson Square. That's right in front of St. Louis Cathedral. It's a very, very famous square in that town. And you'll see there very limited lit signage. And we found the same thing to be true in Savannah. So, we recommend an ordinance to prohibit or limit illuminated signage along the perimeter of San Agustin Plaza to help preserve its historic authenticity and visual integrity. So, with that, we are available for any questions.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the fact that you've identified that while some historic redevelopment does allow for illuminated signage, that there are historic areas that can be preserved and protected. And I think as we think about the upcoming rehabilitation that we hope to see in our downtown, that we're just very careful about setting out the rules and letting every developer know that they need to abide by the preserving the authenticity of our historic downtown areas. And I would like to, let's see, I would like to go ahead and move forward with your, I'm trying to, I've lost it now and I can't get to it. Can you, oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
That's, thank you. I would like to move forward with a motion to amend our current ordinance prohibiting and eliminating illuminated signage along the perimeter of San Agustin Plaza to help preserve its historic authenticity and visual integrity.
There's a motion, second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Oh, Mayor, I just have an amendment. Could we consider on all the plazas?
I'll accept that amendment.
All the plazas.
Which would, or is it identify?
Yes, I was gonna go.
Yes, go ahead.
To identify the plaza. Mayor,
And
Yes, go ahead.
You got San Agustin Plaza, and that's a different, that's in the Mercado, but San Agustin Plaza is the one that has all those businesses around, so, you might not want to intervene, or I don't know, it's just meant for them to identify.
So it would be San Agustin, which is with the
So,
cathedral, Jarvis, which has the veterans memorials, right, that we have several there.
Yes.
El Mercado, which has Center for the Arts.
the Bruni Plaza.
All right, but do you want to consider amending each plaza as you go? Because if you say all of them, some might not be appropriate for that.
Well, I think if we think about confining it to those 4 historic plazas that
Yep.
define our downtown.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we'll take it from there.
And St.
Oh, and St. Peter's.
All right. So you accept the amendment?
Yes.
Okay, motion is amended. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Motion to adjourn or go another half an hour? Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor? Aye. Motion. Meeting adjourned.